Just a few seconds away from kickoff here at Lambeau Field. Rod Marinelli still smiling, even though 18 straight games in the state of Wisconsin. That includes a playoff game in 1994. But let's give Marinelli a whole lot of credit. He has kept the team together, John.
He's done an outstanding job of that, and that doesn't surprise me. I spent a lot of time with Rod down in Tampa. He's a real coach, and you can tell the love and respect these guys have in the midst of being 0-15. That's impressive. I've been on 4 and 12 teams where there's a ton of dissension. He's kept this team together and ready to play.
They have been professionals, no doubt about that. They're going to have to deal with the elements on top of everything else today. Temperature low 20s, wind chill of 10 degrees, and that wind is swirling down on the Lambeau turf. 38-year-old Jason Hansen, an outstanding year for him to kick it off to Will Blackman. And we are underway. Ball bounces off one of the upmen, and it is taken by Jordy Nelson. Gets across the 25, has some space, across the 40, up past midfield, and he gets dragged down around the Lions' 42-yard line. A return of 44 yards on the play for the rookie out of Kansas State.
And that's a great start for the Packers. They've been notorious slow starters throughout the course of the season. Jordy Nelson gives them a big boost and great field position to start with.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, an outstanding first season at the helm, replacing Brett Favre. As you can see, 25 touchdown passes, and has a chance to go over 4,000 yards on the season. And Rodgers out to throw, looks and finds the 3-time Pro Bowler Donald Driver for a gain of about 7. And let's take a look at the Packers offense. He has a 1,000-yard back, does Rodgers, in Ryan Grant, and 2 outstanding receivers in Greg Jennings and Donald Driver. All sorts of changes up front, though, on the line. Jason Spitz moves from right guard to left guard. The rookie Josh Sitton moves up to right guard. And Darren College makes a move from left guard to right tackle, replacing the ineffective Tony Mall. You got all that, John?
I got it.
Okay, good. Second and short now for Green Bay, and that is Grant. Up the middle and a first down.
Even though Detroit has struggled such on defense against the pass, I think I get the feeling from talking to Mike McCarthy, he really wants to establish the tone by running the ball, pounding it with Ryan Grant today. A
couple rookies up front, Andre Fluellen, Cliff Averill, both drafted in the 3rd round this year. And the problem has been in the secondary. Just 1 interception from the defense all season. A lot of pressure on guys like Bodden and Fisher to get it done for Marinelli's crew today. Rodgers from the gun on first down. Trying to set up a screen, and he loses the ball. That looks like a free ball, and Green Bay is going to recover. Darren College, right tackle, falls on it all the way back in Green Bay territory.
And Rodgers goes back to throw a screen pass to Ryan Grant, and the ball comes out of his hand. I don't know if that's the call that Ed Hockley wanted to make, very close to the one over there in Denver earlier in the year.
Well, it was great pressure by a guy in Fluellen who has really only played half the season, has been inactive for several games. And he was working over there on Darren College, who's making his first start at right tackle.
And Fluellen's getting his first start for Dwayne White, getting some early pressure. That's big for the Lions. They've struggled to do that all season long.
A loss of 24, so we'll see what's in the Packer playbook on 2nd and 34. Rodgers looking downfield and has a man. That is Jennings. Gets it up to about the 42-yard line.
Aaron Rodgers right there delivers a strike to Greg Jennings. You know, in 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations, what coordinators try to do, what quarterbacks try to do, is get some of it back so you're in a manageable third down situation. 3rd and 20 is not that, but that's a beautiful pass by Aaron Rodgers.
So Green Bay pretty much back where they started this drive. 3rd and 20, a 3-receiver set for Rodgers. Has Deshaun Wynn lined up in the backfield for the first time, and that is Wynn getting the ball on a draw. Gets it up to about the 33-yard line. Pickup of 7, much to the chagrin of this crowd. They wanted him to throw the ball there.
Yeah, the Lambeau crowd wasn't too happy with Mike McCarthy on that. You're in a 3rd down situation. They give the ball to Deshaun Wynn. And it looks as if they may be going for it here.
Well, we were down on the field before the game and talking it over with the Packers kicker Mason Crosby, and he pretty much said kicking in this direction is not what he wants to do from a long distance today. So the Packers, 8 for 16 this year on 4th down. This one a healthy 4th and 12. Lions are coming with the blitz. Quick hitter to Donald Driver, and he's going to be stopped shy of the first down. So a great job by the Lions defense after their special teams failed them on the opening kickoff. The 0-15 Lions will have the ball. Well, the Detroit Lions did its job on defense. This is Dan Orlovsky making his 7th start of 2008. And pitches it to the rookie, Kevin Smith, looking for a little hole. Doesn't get a whole lot. Take a look at that Detroit offense. Smith, 116 yards shy of 1,000 for the season. Calvin Johnson, obviously their main gun. You talked about him, and you said you want to see him line up all over the field today.
They do a nice job of that. They move their best player all around so that defenses can't key on, can't roll to them. They move them all over. You'll see them at X, Z, every receiver position.
Gain of 2, and there is Johnson in motion. Orlovsky again to the rookie. Gets a few extra yards. Tackled by Ryan Pickett, the 8th-year man out of The Ohio State University. Green Bay's defense, an obvious drop-off from a year ago, but they still have the 2-time Pro Bowler Aaron Campman applying the pressure. The strength of this team, obviously in its secondary, 2 Pro Bowlers, Charles Woodson making his 5th Pro Bowl, the free safety Nick Collins, first time to Honolulu.
And as strong as their secondary's been, they've sorely missed the presence of Atari Bigby. He was huge for them as they made the run late last year. They miss him, and it showed up in the way they played.
Bigby just had ankle surgery this week, hoping to be ready for 2009. Now on 3rd down, Orlovsky pressured, gets out of the pocket, looks deep downfield, and it is just off the mitts of the rookie Kevin Smith, who had gotten behind the secondary. However, there is a flag down, and that is going to be holding on Detroit. And Green Bay will decline. Ed Hockley, our referee this afternoon.
And Jeff Backus got power rushed right there by Brady Papinga, who's usually at linebacker. They've been moving him over to a defensive end to try to create some pressure. Papinga makes a nice power rush on Jeff Backus. Backus holds him, and the Lions go to punt.
Well, this is Nick Harris, who's had an outstanding season as well, but the ever-dangerous Will Blackman, who has 2 punt returns for touchdowns this season, standing at his own 27. Harris gets away a beautiful punt. Blackman at the 20. Tries to break outside, but gets only 1 yard on the return after the 51-yard punt. Aaron Rodgers and the Pack back at work. Packers offense back at work for the 2nd time, and they missed a golden opportunity, John Lynch, after that 44-yard opening kickoff return.
Well, they sure did. Jordy Nelson gave them nice field position. They've struggled on their first drive all year, scoring only 13 points in opening drives. They missed a great opportunity right there.
So now Rodgers with Grant in the backfield. A little play action to him on the move, and it is dropped by Greg Jennings, who's really had an outstanding year. A guy that's become really the #1 receiver here, replacing Donald Driver.
He's had a big time year. You talk to the Green Bay Packers, they feel he should have been a Pro Bowl player. He had a Pro Bowl type season. He's become a bona fide #1. Right there on that play, you see an interesting thing, and you heard the Detroit Lions as we talked to him, Coach Marinelli, all their defense players, they talked about the effectiveness of Aaron Rodgers out of the pocket. You typically think of Rodgers as a pocket passer, but they talked about how good he is out of their pocket and how important it was to keep him in the pocket.
Well, quick toss here to Grant. Has a little bit of space, gets about 5 or 6 yards. Now, this is a guy that has gone over 1,000 yards on the season for the first time in his career. But this isn't the same Ryan Grant we saw at the end of 2007.
Well, I think right there you see a nice run, but that's very symbolic of the type of struggles that they've had. Right there, that's a tackle that last year I think you see Ryan Grant run right through. It's one tackler. He made a habit out of running through tackles last year. Right there, the first guy takes him down. Nice gain. Last year, that might have been a big play.
Only 4 gains over 20 yards this season for Grant. Deshaun Wynn has checked into the lineup on 3rd down. And Wynn gets the quick toss and has a little space. He's going to get the first down and then some. And Wynn is going to go the distance. Deshaun Wynn into the end zone. 73 yards for the touchdown.
Beautiful design of a play by the Green Bay Packers right here as we watch the play. Donald Lee comes in motion. This is a pass look that the Packers give on a third down situation with Lee in motion. You're going to see Donald Lee right here. They get in their bunch situation, and there goes Deshaun Wynn, untouched until he gets to the 2-yard line. Beautiful run by Deshaun Wynn. He's been filling in for Brandon Jackson, and great play for the Packers.
Mason Crosby adds the PAT, and yet again, the Detroit Lions are down early. 73 yards for Wynn equals 6. It's 7-zip. Deshaun Wynn, the second-year man out of Florida, the longest run of his career, also the longest run of the year for the Green Bay Packers. 73 yards against the worst rushing defense in the NFL.
Well, that's a perfect example of why they're the worst rushing defense in the NFL. Absolutely no one touched him on a 73-yard run. You don't see that much in the NFL. Lee Bodden, the Packers got in a pass look right there with a bunch. Someone's got to be in contain and turn the ball back. Absolutely no one was there, and that's why they're the worst rushing team in the NFL, rush defense in the NFL.
Avion Kason back to return it for the Lions. Mason Crosby having a little issue with the frigid football. Wind chill at 10 degrees. In fact, he's going to need a little helping hand from Will Blackman there. You ever had to do that, Lynchy?
I've done that a couple times.
Make sure you get that finger out of there in a hurry, though, on a day like today.
You don't want that getting in, for sure.
Who cares if the kickoff, rolls around like Charlie Brown out there? Don't worry about that. The ball is taken by an up man. That's Casey Fitzsimmons, who gets across to the 30 and is dropped at the 32. Well, stop me if you've heard this before, but the Lions are down 7-0 after Deshaun Wynn does a little leaping for joy on this holiday season. Lions breaking the huddle for their second drive of the afternoon, down 7-zip at frigid Lambeau. Orlovsky knocked away.
Great play by Al Harris right there, one of the top corners in the NFL. Great bump and run player. That's what he does best. Right there, you're going to see Nick Collins, the free safety, jump Calvin Johnson coming across. Al Harris is one-on-one with John Standiford, and that matchup favors the Green Bay Packers all day long.
Well, Standiford, one of the many new faces at wideout for the Lions. In fact, Johnson was the only one on the opening day roster that's active today. This is Smith on second down, makes a nice little cut before Johnny Jolly brings him down. Speaking of Jolly, Rod Marinelli, despite his 0-15 mark this year, he's like the Tony Robbins of the NFL. He just preaches positive thinking, and he's always talking about what do you do with adversity.
Well, and there's a lot of coaches that preach this. Rod Marinelli believes it. He lives it. He talks about 3 reactions to adversity. Number 1, they're oblivious to it. Number 2, you can crumble under it. Number 3, you can embrace it. He embraces it. Almost seems as if he's enjoying the challenge and the lessons he's learned in an 0-15 season.
What fun is 15-0. 3rd and 4, Orlovsky out of the gun. Has some time. Now he's pressured, and he is finally going to be dropped. Jason Hunter there with the sack, his second of the season. And other than Campman, I'll tell you, these guys on the defensive line haven't got it done, but thanks to the secondary here.
Oh, that was a tremendous job by coverage. You're going to see Tremont Williams right here on Calvin Johnson. He's simply not open. He's hanging on his low hip. Orlovsky had nowhere to go. Great job by finishing the deal from the Packers defensive line. And big stop for the Green Bay Packers.
So make it back-to-back 3-and-outs for that Detroit offense. Harris on to punt for the second time. This one not nearly as good as his first effort. Blackman's going to pick it up at the 24 and gets about a 3-yard return. And the Packers will start with the ball right there, up 7. Trying to shoot an arrow into the Lions' heart again. It has been all Packers so far. 2 drives for each team. Green Bay scoring on a 73-yard scamper by Deshaun Wynn. Here, Aaron Rodgers looking deep downfield, has Jennings, And the ball is dropped. Lee Bodden on the coverage, but Jennings had him toasted.
And Jennings missed an opportunity right there. You're going to see Greg Jennings right here. They get an 8-man front. He's got Lee Bodden in coverage. He beats him. He's got him by a step. Rogers delivers a perfect ball, and he just drops the ball. You don't want to leave those opportunities out there. Great throw by Aaron Rodgers.
A guy that is 7th in the NFL, almost 1,200 receiving yards, and he's dropped a couple here in the early going. 2nd and 10 now, and this is Grant off the right side. And a nice job there by Ernie Sims.
And that's what Ernie Sims does best. When you're looking for building blocks for this Detroit defense, it's hard to find many. But that's one guy I think, if he can put the mental part of the game, he's got those type of skills. He can go sideline to sideline and make plays like that. Outstanding play by Ernie Sims.
If you are looking at this defense and trying to reconstruct it, what do you start with, John?
Well, it's bleak right now, but I think what you have to do when you're playing this particular defense, you need a force in that middle. They had one in Sean Rogers. They let him get away, and I think they're sorely missing him.
3rd and 10 for the Packers. Rodgers from the gun in an empty backfield. Tries a quick hitter, and that ball is dropped by Rubel Martin. Not a perfect throw by Rodgers, but one that certainly could have been caught. In fact, all 3 of Rodgers' incompletions have been dropped by his receivers.
And this is, you're going to see Green Bay in their big five wide receiver set. They want to do this to expose Detroit in space. But twice now, you're going to see the pressure by Calvin Pearson right there. Detroit's thought is come with it, get the ball out of their hands, we'll come up and make the tackle. It's worked twice on 4th and 3rd downs.
Jeremy Kapanos barely gets it away. Avion Cason just kind of watches it squirm to the ground, and the ball is dead there at the 33-yard line. And of course, this is the final regular season week in the NFL. Later on, you got the big one in Philly. Cowboys and Eagles. If Dallas wins, it is playoff bound. Philadelphia is going to need some help. But obviously a meaningful game. You heard Brian Westbrook this week say, you know what, I hate the Dallas Cowboys. So even if we know by kickoff we're not eligible for the playoffs, I don't really care. I want to beat them anyway. So the ball was actually touched back at the 43-yard line, so they've moved the ball up 10 yards, which helps Detroit. 6 total yards in its first 2 drives. Here's Smith trying for a little cutback, and he gets almost nothing. And Kevin Smith, the kid that went to college down at Central Florida, he's never played in weather this cold, and he said he was hoping that it was going to snow. He'd get the full Lambeau effect today.
Well, he was hoping it was going to snow. Rod Marinelli says, I'll take this kid in a parking lot in sand or in snow. But Rod Marinelli, the Detroit Lions really like them, and I think rightly so. He's got outstanding vision, outstanding power. I think he's going to be a big-time back in this league. He's been a bright spot in a tough season for the Lions.
Smith now lined up alongside Orlovsky, who's working out of the gun on 2nd and 10. Looking and finding Calvin Johnson, who drops the rock. Well, it's the first time this afternoon they've tried to get to 8-1. Tremont Williams there with the physical coverage.
Right here, you're going to see Tremont Williams on Calvin Johnson, and when you play the Packers, you don't get that much separation. If you're going to get a catch, it's going to be highly contested. They get up, they're in your face, they stay low hip, they're very opportunistic. You've got to be on the mark if you're Don Orlovsky, who was right there, dropped by Calvin Johnson.
So now 3rd and 8. Detroit 8 plays so far, 8 yards. No math wizard, but that's not real good. This time he gets it to his tight end, Casey Fitzsimmons, who gets it close to the first down. Right near the sticks. Once again, the yellow line is unofficial, but he appears to be short, if that is true.
Right there, you're going to see something we talked to Don Orlovsky about. He said it was going to be hard to move the chains, intermediate routes to their wide receivers. Their corners are so physical, Dan Orlovsky. But then all of a sudden, Dan Orlovsky talked about the opportunity with the tight ends and the backs in the passing game. You see him expose it with Casey Fitzsimmons right there.
So now it's 4th and less than a yard, and you're in Green Bay territory. It's a no-brainer here at this point. You're going for it.
You're going for it, and I think if you're the Detroit Lions, you may take the shot right here. Everyone's expecting the run. Maybe go up top to Calvin Johnson. He's ISO'd on Tremont Williams right now, one-on-one.
Well, it is a 2-receiver set, but it looks like there has been a timeout called, so that's going to be a no play.
Snap. The timeout called by Detroit. That's their first.
Well, Ed Hockley obviously having a bit of problem with laryngitis. So I'll translate there. There was a timeout called by Detroit before the play was actually run.
They were running a quarterback sneak right there, and they got it. They wish they hadn't. That's been that kind of year. You get a first down, you call timeout.
We'll take all the help we can get, says Dan Orlovsky. Now, Orlovsky's a guy, they've got 4 quarterbacks on their roster right now. They've got Drew Stanton and Drew Henson, Dante Culpepper, who started a handful of games but's banged up. Orlovsky's the only one that is unsigned going into next year. What do you see for his future?
Well, I think he's a good player. I think he's a player in this league. But I think if you're the Lions, that's the first place you look at building this organization. They're going to have the first pick in the draft. I think there's 2 obvious choices. You got Sam Bradford
and Matthew Stafford.
Stafford at Georgia. You go that route if you think they're franchise quarterbacks. Otherwise, free agency and maybe Matt Castle.
Once again, both those guys are underclassmen and would have to declare in early January. Back to the task at hand, 4th and 1. Johnson in motion. And that is Smith, and he's going to get the first down. So the Lions, for the first time this afternoon, move the chains.
That's good, tough running by Kevin Smith right there. He had to break a tackle to get that first down. He did exactly that. Big conversion, good blocking you're going to see from the left side of the Detroit Lions offensive line right there. Kevin Smith's going to come and run through the tackle.
That's
first down.
Manny Ramirez, number 63, getting his 3rd start of the season for the ineffective Damian Cook over there. Got a nice block. Orlovsky looking, and the ball is picked off. That is Charles Woodson, the 5-time Pro Bowler. He's already taken 2 to the house. This time he's going to get dragged down to the 40. And a look of dismay by Orlovsky. He overshot Calvin Johnson, and Woodson was right there.
And you can't do that with with Charles Woodson, because he's going to make you pay. His 7th of the season. He's going to Pro Bowl for this reason. He's an outstanding player. Just a misfire by Dan Orlovsky right there. And Charles Woodson, outstanding coverage, outstanding catch. He's not going to drop many of those. He's made a living of doing that in this league. He's a guy who's had an outstanding year. He's played corner, he's played safety. He's been very unselfish for the Green Bay Packers, and probably had his finest season in the NFL.
36 career interception for the Heisman Trophy winner out of Michigan. So Green Bay starting in Detroit territory for the 2nd time today, and that is Grant for just a couple. Dwayne White on the stop, and for the first time today, let's check in with Kurt Menefee in L.A. for the game break.
Well, Chris, the NFC South is still up for grabs. St. Louis trying to hand Atlanta a loss. Good run by Steven Jackson from 4 yards out. St. Louis leads at 7-3, and Atlanta lost, and the Carolina Panthers are division champs and the number 2 seed in the NFC. Chris and John.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Of course, Carolina could also solidify that NFC South championship with a win down in New Orleans. Right now, the Panthers up 6-0 going into the 2nd quarter. Rodgers, a quick hitter to Donald Driver, escapes the tackle, gets down inside the 25, down to the 24, a gain of 16, and there's Driver celebrating in style.
And Chris, I circled Greg Jennings right there, but what Aaron Rodgers saw right there was an 8-man front. It was very obvious, an 8-man front. You're going to see the safety creep. He's got one-on-one coverage. He believes it's a good matchup, one-on-one coverage with both his receivers, Driver or Jennings. Made a nice little quick slant, and that's what Donald Driver's made a living doing throughout his great career.
Driver in his 10th season out of Alcorn State, a 3-time Pro Bowler. Gets another first down. Here's Grant again, inside the 20, he's got more space. Inside the 5, dragged down by Ryan Neese after a nifty gain of 20.
And that's when Ryan Grant's at his best right there. He's going to start it right. Tremendous vision. Cuts it back. You're going to see the blocking. He's going to start right. You're going to see the great blocking over here. He sees great vision. Makes a great cut right there. Ryan Grant makes the free safety miss. Outstanding run. That's what they've been missing from Ryan Grant, and that's a welcome sight for Green Bay Packer fans.
And there is an injury on the field. Scott Wells, the center, is being looked at. And while he gets checked out, we'll check out for a quick break. Pack up 7-zip. Scott Wells, a fifth-year man out of Tennessee, helped to the sideline, so more reshuffling along that offensive line for Green Bay. Jason Spitz, the left guard, now moves to center. Alan Barber, the second-year man, moves to his vacated position. Now Rodgers, quick hit, and the ball is incomplete. Intended for Jennings.
Great coverage right there by Travis Fisher out here. But again, you're going to see the Greg Jennings on a simple slant route. When he sees one-on-one coverage, Aaron Rodgers is audibilized into those quick slants, and they feel they can win that matchup every time.
Travis Fisher this week said, you know what, if we finally break into the win column, I am walking back to Detroit. And keep in mind, he did suffer a concussion last week in the loss to New Orleans, so maybe that factored in. Here on second down, Grant, another cutback, but he is stopped shy of the end zone. Down at about the 3-yard line, Paris Lennon, the former Packer, wrapping him up.
You know, statistically, the Green Bay Packers have done a lot of things very well. You saw the turnover on defense. They've done that well. They've been better than anybody in this league on scoring off turnovers. In addition to that, the red zone offense, they're 6th in the league, 27 touchdowns out of 45 opportunities. They've been very good down here. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been picked off all year in the red zone area.
And Jermichael Finley, third-round pick out of Texas this year, has checked into the game. And now everybody spreads out. That is Donald Lee at the bottom of the screen, the starting tight end. And the ball is tossed to Finley, and there is the touchdown for the rookie. The first of his career.
Going to see Jermichael Finley here in the slot. This is a guy that they really, both Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers talked about. Aaron Rodgers says, other than Charles Woodson, the most raw talent on the entire football team. He's a guy who came out of Texas. Mike McCarthy talked about just that. At Texas, they never really split him out, used him as a wide receiver. He compared him to Tony Gonzalez. This is a guy with 4 catches, but they went on and on. You could see that this was a guy they were going to try to feature in the last game moving forward to next year.
And his 5th catch of his young NFL career leads to 6 points. Mason Crosby adds a 7th and make it 14-0 with just under a minute and a half to go in the opening quarter. So the Packers capitalize once again on another turnover. They have now scored 124 points off of turnovers. That is the most in the NFL. Well, of course, the coverage doesn't stop here on Fox. Next Sunday, who's going to be taking the field and when? All these teams, postseason bound, a couple more slots still up for grabs today. The postseason on Fox, all in HD, coming your way next Sunday. So now if you're the Lions, you're 0-15, you're down 14, less than 14 minutes into the game. What are you thinking, John?
Well, I think the only thing you can do is stick with your game plan. We've seen a heavy dose of Kevin Smith. You've seen them try to get the ball to Calvin Johnson, but I think you got to take some shots downfield. We talked to Dan Orlovsky. They're double covering him right now. He talked about, though, you know, to me it's very much like when we used to play the Minnesota Vikings. They didn't care if you had 2, 3 guys on them. They were going to put the ball up and try to let him make a play. Orlovsky talked about it. They haven't done it yet. It's all been underneath. I think they got to take shots to Calvin Johnson up top to try to get some big plays on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, Johnson dropped one earlier, and then they overshot him. A pass that was picked off by the Pro Bowler Charles Woodson. And now here's Will Blackman once again on the golf tee duties, if you will. Mason Crosby, a short kickoff taken by Fitzsimmons yet again. Solid return up to the 38. Detroit has had decent field position, just hasn't done much with it.
You're exactly right, and I think another thing that could make the Lions confident, in their first meeting this season against Green Bay, they were down 21-0. They came back to lead late in the 4th quarter, so Detroit knows they can make the comeback here.
Of course, John Kitna was their quarterback back in week 2. That is Dante Culpepper, a 3-time Pro Bowler. He was signed back at the beginning of November, bothered by an injured shoulder. Had to shut it down the last few weeks of the season. So down 14-0. This is Smith on first down, gets up past the 40-yard line. Give him a gain of about 3. And this is a guy that, John, we talked to him yesterday. You're impressed by his energy, his maturity. I mean, he defended the coaching staff. He seems like a guy you can really build around.
Oh, absolutely. You see the physical talent on the field, but I tell you, I don't know if I've ever been so impressed by a young rookie. He's got a lot of depth to him. We asked him about 1,000 yards. He said, hey, 1,000 yards shouldn't be the story. We're 0-15. The guy is a bright guy. I think can be not only a leader on the field, but a leader in that locker room as you move forward for the Detroit Lions.
2nd and 6, and Smith makes a nice little cut, but Brady Papinga is there to drag him down after a yard gain.
Nice tackle by Papinga there on a one-on-one situation with Kevin Smith.
Smith, one of these guys you can build around. Calvin Johnson is one, and then after that, on offense, you're looking at maybe a guy like Goster Sherilis, their rookie first-round pick, but this team needs plenty of components to get back to respectability.
They need components on both sides of the ball. That's what they're lacking. They're lacking talent.
Johnson in motion on 3rd and 5, and Johnson catches that one, battling Al Harris. They're going to give the grab to Johnson as he gets up to the 48-yard line, and that is going to do it. There is a flag. Goster Sherilis up there to defend Johnson, who was battling with Al Harris, and it looked like he got shoved by one of the Packers. Let's see what Ed Hockley's going to call here.
I think he's getting Al Harris for pushing Goster Sherilis right there.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness defense, number 31. That's a 15-yard penalty. There also was the end of the first quarter. That foul happened after time ran out. Therefore,
well, give Al Harris some credit. At least he picked on somebody that wasn't his own size. He went up. Well, the Lions shoved back. They're down 14-0 after 1. John Lynch and Chris Rose back at Lambeau Field, and you know, Fox, that X not easy to use in signs. Good creative work right there. Very, very solid. Beginning of the second quarter, after the 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Al Harris, Detroit there at the 36-yard line, and let's show you what happened there at the end of the first quarter.
My man Al Harris knows better than this, but I thought it was a little curious. A big lineman falling. I think our man Godser took a little bit of a dive there.
Well, he's about 320 or so, and if Al Harris is pushing him around, what do you think Aaron Campman's going to do to him? Well, 2nd and 7 now for the Lions. They're down 14, but John, you get a touchdown, you're right back in this thing.
It's a great opportunity for the Lions right now.
Smith breaks two tackles, tries to bounce outside, cuts it up, and did well just to gain a couple. Aaron Rouse. And the first quarter, when it's 14-0, it's pretty lopsided, and, well, here you go.
Very lopsided. Right there, you see what people are so excited about with this Kevin Smith, though. Great run. He's breaking tackles. He's making that run on his own. Ended up with a positive play. Very easily could have been a play for a loss.
Well, here is a negative for the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rouse is being looked at. We'll take a quick break. 3rd and 5 for the Lions. Orlovsky looking, throwing, the ball's knocked away by Brandon Schiller. Pass intended for Casey Fitzsimmons. So now Detroit have another look at maybe a 4th down play, and got to go for it again, right, John?
You got to go for it. What do you have to lose? You're 0-15. Right there, you see Orlovsky and the Lions trying to take advantage of the matchup on the linebackers. He talked about that. Great job by Brandon Schiller right there in coverage.
Aaron Rouse, injured earlier, is checked back into the game. 4 receivers set for Orlovsky on 4th down. And the ball is caught by Kerry Colbert. He has a first down at the 20, where he is pile-driven down by A.J. Hawk.
And a nice strike by Orlovsky right there to Kerry Colbert. They've struggled other than Calvin Johnson. Someone mentioned it's Calvin Johnson and 3 other guys. Kerry Colbert's one of those guys, and a big 4th down play for him.
Colbert, a guy that was originally a 2nd-round draft pick by Carolina, started the year in Denver, moved to Seattle, and now Detroit.
You see a little slant route by there. You never get much separation on these, so you got to be good on your throws and you got to be strong on your catches. Good job by Detroit right there.
So now 1st and 10 at the 20 after the 4th down conversion. This is Smith. Gets it inside the 15, down close to the 1st down. And let's send it back out to Los Angeles. A game break with Kurt Menefee.
Minnesota and the Giants. Adrian Peterson, 8 carries for 11 yards until this. A 67-yard touchdown run. The flag was offsides against the Giants, so it stands. And Minnesota has a 10-0 lead in the second quarter. Of course, Chris and John, if the Vikings win this game, they win the NFC North.
Thank you, Kurt. And here's your playoff scenario. Chicago, by the way, is up 10-0 down in Houston midway through the second quarter. So that's putting the pressure on Minnesota to get it going against the Giants. That's Smith again, darts inside the 10. You got to love this kid's running style.
Yeah, you do. I talked to Sam Gash, the running back coach, down on the field before the game, and he talked about his best attribute being his vision. You see a perfect example of that right there. He stretches the run, sees the cutback hole, and goes and gets it aggressively for a nice gain.
Smith has already carried the ball 11 times this afternoon, coming off his second 100-yard game of his career. Went for 111 last week in the loss against New Orleans. So now 1st and goal. Another healthy dose of Smith, and he gets dragged down there by Johnny Jolly.
You know, I love the fact that they're pounding the ball to Kevin Smith. This is one of the things we talked about, but at some point you got to take shots to Calvin Johnson downfield. You're going to struggle with this tight coverage to move the ball in chunks through the passing game. I think the formula, pound the ball with Kevin Smith, take shots up top. Now they're giving him double coverage, as we said, but I think you throw it up anyway.
Let him try and make a play down here?
You got to. I believe so. He's matched up one-on-one outside with Al Harris right now. A great matchup, but I think that favors the Lions.
Orlovsky now in 2nd and goal, looking, throwing, and, well, the fan in row 2 had a decent shot at it.
It's not Calvin Johnson,
no,
is it?
No, that was not. There was some sort of broken route there. Johnson went inside, the ball went outside. And Orlovsky taking a beating on this one.
There's been great pressure by the Packers all day. That one hurt Dan Orlovsky. He was limping after that play. That's something that this up front for the Green Bay Packers has really suffered this year. They lost Corey Williams. KGB is gone via being waived. Colin Jenkins has been the biggest loss for them. They're doing a nice job today on the pressure hitting Orlovsky.
Empty backfield now on 3rd and goal. Orlovsky throwing a little fade, and the ball is caught by Johnson. It is a touchdown. And there it is, John Lynch, just the way you called it. Matched up on Al Harris, and 8-1 does it again.
Well, that's how good he is. I think you're talking about Al Harris. You're talking one of the better corners in the league. I don't care if it's Charles Woodson. Right up here, you're going to see Calvin Johnson on Al Harris. I don't care if it's Al Harris. I don't care if it's Charles Woodson. I think, Dick Night Train Lane, you got to throw the ball to Calvin Johnson. He's your best player. You got to get big plays out of him, and you did right there. Great job by the Detroit Lions. Dan Orlovsky puts up a beautiful ball, lets him go up and make a play. That's what he does best.
And the crowd wants Mike McCarthy to challenge the call, saying that Johnson did not get both feet in bounds, but it sure looked like he kicked up enough dirt in the end zone there to warrant a touchdown. But he's deciding. Al Harris is looking at it up on the Jumbotron. It looks like they're going to let it slide.
Look, his coach is upstairs, so keep that flag in your pocket.
Jason Hansen adds the PAT, and Detroit marches down the field. Apparently there is some sort of either flag on the play, a discussion by the referees, maybe an offsides by Green Bay. Let's see here.
Offside defense, number 24. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The try is good.
Jarrett Bush offsides for the Packers, but Calvin Johnson with his 11th touchdown of the season, and the Lions cut the deficit in half. Calvin Johnson with his 11th TD catch of the season ties him with Randy Moss and Anquan Bolden for the most in the league. And, well, they barely got out of neutral the first 3 drives, but finally got it going, John.
Well, they got it going, and they got it going with the formula we talked about. Running the ball effectively with Kevin Smith, and then eventually you got to take the shot up top. They did, and that tells you how good Calvin Johnson, the season he's had with the attention he's getting. He's a great player who's going to be a great player for years to come.
Hansen kicks it off toward Will Blackman. Takes it at the 6. Tries to get away from would-be tacklers, but barely makes it up to the 10. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers back on the field, up by 7. Starting center Scott Wells still ailing with an injured ankle. Questionable return, and that's Mark Tauscher over on the sideline towards ACL a few weeks ago, so more reshuffling on that Packers O-line. Start out this drive at their own 8-yard line with Grant, the lone back. Rodgers hitting Grant out of the backfield. Dropped by Ernie Sims. And Aaron Rodgers, 6 for 10 on the afternoon now, but those 4 incompletions, not really his fault, John.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has been outstanding today. He's been outstanding all year. He's living in the great shadow of Brett Favre. You see the incompletions here, but those balls are on the mark. He's been on the mark all year. Mike McCarthy talking about Aaron Rodgers, he says he's a perfect fit for the offense. It's rare you can say that after 1 year. His best attribute is his accuracy and his decision making. He's doing a great job at both of those today.
25-year-old just signed a 6-year, $65 million extension earlier this season. Grant gets the first down, spins out of a tackle and gets it up to the 28. Dragged down by the rookie Cliff Averill, 3rd-round pick out of Purdue. Gain of 12, and this is more of the Ryan Grant that we saw last year, more of those explosive plays.
You're exactly right, and you're starting to see, I'm sure this excites the Green Bay Packers. You're starting to see the Ryan Grant that was so good at the end of the year. You're going to see him come here, cut back, and then break those tackles. Earlier in the year, he's been going down. Now he's breaking those tackles. That's what makes Ryan Grant special, and he's starting to show signs of that.
Now on 1st and 10, Rodgers looking downfield and has a man. It is Jermichael Finley, the rookie out of Texas. Caught a touchdown earlier. That one goes for 26 yards.
You're going to see Jermichael Finley right here on Daniel Bullock's in coverage. And you could feel sitting with Mike McCarthy with Aaron Rodgers, they wanted to get this guy a chance to make some plays today. They've known he's a great athlete all year. The production hasn't been there. You knew they were going to give him a shot. He's capitalizing on these opportunities today.
Rodgers, I mean, glowing. You asked him about it. It was almost like you asked him about his first girlfriend. I mean, it was unbelievable. He says this guy is a tremendous athlete.
You know, we're starting to see it today, but when you hear Mike McCarthy compare him to Tony Gonzalez, when you hear Aaron Rodgers talk about the best hands on the team, the best athlete other than Charles Woodson on the team, that's a special player right there. And I think bright things to come from Jermichael Finley in the future.
Well, he is just 21 years old. Left school after just 2 seasons and 76 catches down there in Austin. So now after about no gain on 1st down, Rodgers staring at 2nd and 10. Quick pitch to Grant. Tries to bounce it outside. Cuts it back up and gets inside the Detroit 40-yard line. Sean Cody, 4th-year man out of USC there to make the stop.
This is a play much like the design on the Deshaun Wynn touchdown run. They have obviously seen something in the toss play, the ability to get outside against Detroit. You're going to see Donald Lee come down here in motion, get the contain, and Ryan Grant go outside. No one for Detroit's there. That's just fundamental things. Lee Bodden's job right there. Daniel Bullock's, they got to turn that ball back. It can't turn into gains like that.
So now 3rd and 3, Deshaun Wynn, who had a 73-yard touchdown run in the first quarter, has checked in next to Rodgers, operating out of the shotgun. Floating it downfield, looking for his man, and is incomplete. It was Finley again who was asking for an interference call. Dexter Wynn on the coverage.
I think that shows you how strong they feel about this guy. I keep talking about it, but you got Greg Jennings, you got Donald Driver. They're clearly featuring Jermichael Finley here today, giving him opportunity. That's one I bet he wishes he would have had. Expects himself to have.
All 5 of Rodgers' incompletions have been in the hands of Packers receivers, or in this case, tight end. So now Jeremy Tapinos on to punt it away for the 2nd time. Avion Cason standing at his own 10. Cason's going to let that one bounce instead of catching it. And it dies at about the 8. So the Lions defense does its job. Detroit will now try and score a second straight touchdown on O. Along with producer Chuck McDonald, our director Greg Scopatoni, and the rest of our fine Fox crew. Green Bay up 14-7 midway through the second quarter. Dan Orlovsky handing it off to the rookie Kevin Smith. Has a hole, makes a couple of nice moves, gets it up close to the first down. Tackled by Nick Collins.
Sam Gash talked about the vision of Kevin Smith, and he's doing an outstanding job showing that today. You're going to see nice blocking by Warren Norris, the fullback right there. Kevin Smith goes on a nice gain, showing that great vision and running ability.
This Packers defense just 26th against the run. They have had major issues from day one. And it's ball tipped and incomplete. Intended for Calvin Johnson. Charles Woodson right there to get it done.
Great coverage by Charles Woodson right here. Here's what makes him so special. He rides Calvin Johnson. Ooh, had an opportunity at another one right there. Nice play by Charles Woodson.
Well, you talked about at the top of the game trying to get Calvin Johnson the ball at least 5 times a quarter. Got to take some chances, but you want to see it a little bit more down the field, right?
Well, they're going to him, but I think you're right. You got to take the shots down the field. Green Bay's coverage is going to be tight underneath. Hard, short, the small windows to get the ball in.
3rd and 2. Smith is going to work his way for the first down, gets it up to the 20. Nice patience out of the rookie. Brandon Chiller there on the stop.
You're going to see nice push by the left side of the line. Owens the tight end. Backus and Manny Ramirez there. Manny Ramirez pulls. Nice running by Kevin Smith.
Dominic Raiola, the center, 8th-year man out of Nebraska, also pulling on the play and making a nice little block. So Detroit starting to get into a rhythm offensively, something they could not do last week. Quick hit to Johnson. Gets it up to the 26, and this is something that Rod Marinelli and Dan Orlovsky told us that they would do.
Yeah, Dan Orlovsky in particular talked about that, motioning Calvin Johnson into a stack. That's called a smoke route. You just throw a ball behind the line of scrimmage to Calvin Johnson. Let him use his superior athletic ability to get yards. Get it to him right now, and there you go, 5-yard pickup.
Johnson, 5th in the league in receiving yards, now tied for 1st with 11 touchdowns. This is Smith. He has got nowhere to go. A blitzing Charles Woodson there to bottle him up along with Aaron Campman.
Great job by Aaron Campman right there. He's been a standout for this team for a long time. He's known for his pass rush ability, but he's a complete player. He plays the run extremely well. It's easy to play the run extremely well when you're unblocked. Great play by Campman.
Well, Campman, a 2-time Pro Bowler, but this has been an issue all season long for Mike McCarthy and this defensive line. Just not enough guys making plays.
Well, last year it was the strength of the team. They could bring 8 guys at you that could start for most teams in the NFL. Via free agency trade, guys getting hurt, Cullen Jenkins. They've really struggled. Campman's been out there on his own a lot. They're playing better today.
3rd and 8, Orlovsky looking downfield. Has a man, it's Johnson again. Has a little room. And he gets shoved out of bounds by Nick Collins, but not before he gets into Green Bay territory. Broke the tackle of Aaron Rouse and picks up 36.
You're going to see Calvin Johnson come in motion. They're doing a nice job moving around. Orlovsky gets great protection, has the time for that play to develop. Nice execution by the Detroit Lions there.
1st and 10 from the 42.
Well, Johnson, a guy, if you get him in any sort of space, look out, because even at 6'5", he can run.
You're going to have trouble tackling him. He's a big, strong guy that can run. He's not going to be tackled in space one-on-one very often.
Well, Smith gets tackled after very little gain right there. Brandon Chiller in on the stop. And let's give Rod Marinelli some credit once again. I mean, his team, they come in 0-15. They're staring history right in the face. Just like that, they're down 14-0. He won't allow these guys to quit, and I guess more importantly, the players won't allow themselves.
No, he won't, but I think it's a direct reflection of the leadership of Rod Marinelli. The fact that these guys are playing as hard as they are after being 0-15, that's a reflection of Rod. He won't let them get down. He's constantly encouraging them, and that's the kind of leader he is.
That's more Norris, the fullback in motion. Smith again gets dragged down by Colin Cole, the backup defensive lineman. Cole, a guy that was waived early in his career by these same Detroit Lions, now getting a little payback.
This has been a problem for Detroit throughout the course of the season. You're going to see Colin Cole right here come in and beat Peterman and makes a nice tackle there. But getting themselves in these long third down situations, you'd like to be in 3rd and 5 or less. You have a much higher chance of converting. These 3rd 8s are tough to convert.
Or in this case, 3rd and 10. Orlovsky looking downfield. Ball in the air, and it is dropped. Off the hands of Colbert, off the mitts of Nick Collins, and incomplete.
Kerry Colbert's got to make that catch right there. Orlovsky fires a strike right to him. He made a big 4th down conversion earlier on that 3rd down. You got to catch that ball.
Well, Collins had it right in his mitts as well. 6 interceptions on the season for the first-time Pro Bowler, and Kerry Colbert trying to figure out what went wrong there.
And Nick Collins, too. He's trying to keep pace with Charles Woodson. He could have 7 right there with him right there.
Harris gets it away, and that one is saved beautifully by the Lions. Adam Jennings was there to bat it back into the field of play, and it gets killed at the 5-yard line. So an outstanding play by the Lions special teams.
Beautiful play by Jennings right here. Leaping up, keeping his feet in the field of play, knocking it back. Great job by Nick Harris, and a better job by Adam Jennings pinning the Packers back.
Well, if there has been a strength to this Lions team, it has been the punter Nick Harris, the kicker Jason Hansen. Both have had outstanding seasons. So I suppose if you're looking for positives this year, that's 2 of them. We still count kickers and punters as players, right, John?
I guess so.
Okay,
When you're talking
right.
them with the strengths of the team, you're hurting.
So the Pack now backed up at its own 6-yard line. Little play action to Grant. Rogers looking downfield, has some time, hits a man. It is Jennings getting it up to the 30. Gain of 24.
Great job by the Packers throwing the ball backed up, and a great job by Greg Jennings getting the separation. And look at the protection here that they give Aaron Rodgers. He gets back there. He's got time to look left, go back right to Greg Jennings, and fires a strike. That's the thing people I don't think quite get. They're so used to Brett Favre slinging the ball around. This guy puts some juice on that ball.
Serious RPMs off the right arm of Aaron Rodgers. This time being chased out of the pocket. A flag is down. Ball is complete to Jermichael Finley yet again. Shoved out of bounds by Ernie Sims.
Holding, offense number 71. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
That is the rookie Josh Sitton out of Central Florida. He actually played tackle blocking for Lions running back Kevin Smith.
See Josh sitting right there as Aaron Rodgers breaks it. It's when Aaron Rodgers breaks the pocket that Josh Sitton holds on. Big mistake for Sitton, the rookie.
It was Langston Moore, the 4th-year man out of South Carolina, drawing the penalty on that play. So now 1st and 20 for the Packers. We approach the 2-minute warning. Rodgers again looking downfield, checking it down to Grant, who is tackled after a 5-yard gain by Ernie Sims. And we have arrived at the 2-minute warning. Packers up 7, trying to get something going. Bad news for the Packers secondary, already a little depleted with the injury to Atari Bigby. His replacement, Aaron Rouse, return is questionable with an injured knee as he was just carted off. Aaron Rodgers hoping his defense doesn't step back onto the field until the 3rd quarter. 2nd and 15 at the 2-minute warning. Pressured, and Rodgers is dropped. For the first time today, it's the rookie Cliff Averill with his 5th sack of the season.
And Cliff Averill's the guy they're excited about in Detroit. They feel like you're going to see him here working on Chad Clifton. He keeps going, keeps that motor going. They feel like this guy's a guy they can build on defensively.
Averill just working right around the former Pro Bowler Chad Clifton, who has struggled this season. Now, Detroit did not call a timeout. They have 2 remaining. So here, 3rd and 15. Rodgers out of the shotgun. Deshaun Wynn in the backfield. Rodgers, a quick hitter. The driver gets it up to the 35, and he is dropped. And let's see if Detroit elects to use one of its timeouts. No. Well, is that a little surprising?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, let's go.
I think you made a big stop. You call your timeouts. I think you use 2 of them right there. For whatever reason, they're not using them. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, to that, I mean, it sounds like you're a little bit scared of putting your offense in a position to almost succeed.
Exactly.
I mean, here you're not leaving them with any time. I mean, Campanos is just going to let it dwindle down. Finally, they snap it away with 33 to go in the opening half. This one kind of a sidewinder. Kayson's going to let this one hop inside the 15, inside the 10, and you can forget about it now.
I think that's a missed opportunity for the Lions right there.
Well, questionable right there by Rod Marinelli to not use his timeouts. He's going to keep him in his pocket after a 55-yard punt by Campanos, the longest of his career. Hey, don't forget, coming up at halftime, it is the Visa Halftime Report. Kurt Terry, Howie Michael, and Jimmy as well. All sorts of important playoff implications on the line. You've got Carolina trying to take care of business down in New Orleans. Chicago still trying to stick around. They're struggling down in Houston. Minnesota and the Giants. Highlights and scores and analysis coming your way on the Visa Halftime Report. And the Lions hand it off to Kevin Smith. He gets dropped by Brady Papinga. A loss of 1. And now it looks like Green Bay is going to call a timeout.
Yeah, they want a shot at it. They're stopping it right away. They got 17 seconds, 2 more timeouts after this. They want an opportunity at least to maybe block a punt. I think Detroit really missed an opportunity. You do a great job getting a stop. You've got it over a minute left if you use both tight ends there, or both timeouts, and why not?
And if you're one of those offensive players that's on that Detroit sideline, aren't you thinking, okay, there's a minute 15 to go, there's a minute 20. Let's stop the clock. Yeah. Give us a chance to maybe put one of the best kickers in position to cut into the deficit.
I think so, definitely. But I think Rod Marinelli's probably thinking, he sold to his team that if you can keep this game close, we've got a good chance. The Packers have struggled to finish. But I think right there, you got to take your shot. You got to take those timeouts, get your offense on the field, and give it a go.
2nd and 11. It is Smith again, who's been busy this afternoon. Picks up about 4. Aaron Campman on the stop. And another timeout by the Packers.
The Packers are going to have a chance to put everybody up there, block this punt. Or Blackman's been extremely effective on the returns. I think 2 for touchdowns this year. They're going to give themselves a chance, and I think that's the way you got to play this game, particularly when you aren't going to the playoffs. It's not like you can lose anything.
Well, once again, Mike McCarthy told us at 5-10 that this is actually a good team with a bad record. Do you agree with that assessment?
I do. I do. You look at a lot of the things they've done as a team. They've done statistically. Now, ultimately, to be a good team, you've got to find a way to win those games. But they're the youngest team in the league. Last year, they probably overachieved, being 13-3 this year. But I think they've underachieved. But I think looking forward, they've got a good foundation.
Now, this is Smith again on 3rd down, trying to work his way toward the first. But he gets chopped down by Johnny Jolly, who's been all over the place. And Packers are going to use their final timeout and try and block a punt or get a great return, as you said. So at least that's good clock management. Now, once again, it's something to keep in mind here. If it is a poor punt by Nick Harris, that you can call for a fair catch and get what's called a free kick. Have you ever been involved in one of those?
Never been involved, but everybody's very aware of that. Mason Crosby does have a big leg, and who knows? You've seen stranger things.
Well, here's what it would look like. I mean, Lions can't rush him, can't use a tee or anything, but that's what it's going to look like if we do have a free kick. Once again, Blackman would have to call for the fair catch. He cannot advance it. Well, Harris does get it away, and they call for the fair catch. And he caught it on his bum. Wow, that could have been disastrous right there for the Packers. Instead, it's double zeros up on the clock, and Blackman gets a little laugh out of it as well.
Great job by Nick Harris, not giving an opportunity for a return or the free kick.
And a great job by the 0-15 Lions, who were down 14-0 less than 14 minutes into this one. They get a nice touchdown toss from Orlovsky to Calvin Johnson, and they're in this thing.
They are in this thing. They've see Will Blackman there go down on the slippery turf here, but a nice job on the catch by Blackman.
Now, it looks like the Packers might actually try and get a free kick out of this regardless. It looks like the refs are going to bring the players back on the field.
Fair catch. Time ran out on the play, but by rule, Green Bay has permitted a fair catch kick.
So here we go. Once again, because they had called for a fair catch and made it, Mason Crosby can line it up from 69 yards out.
This will be fun.
I mean, let's go for it. Why not, right?
Why not? We saw him in the pregame. Now, I'll tell you, this is the direction that Mason Crosby, talking to him in pregame, he's kicking into the wind here. But the kid's got a big leg. Why not give it a go? Good coaching, I think, by Mike McCarthy, giving themselves an opportunity.
Well, once again, let's show you what was happening in the pregame. Well, that one's from way deep. And he ended up about 8 yards short, and that's from 75 yards away. So this one, we'll get a chance to see something fun. You don't get to see this all that often.
No, you don't. But this is situational football. That's what good coaches do. They put their teams, they go through every situation. I'm sure they practice this. And the good thing, Mike McCarthy wasn't too happy with Mason Crosby after last week because he felt that kick came out a little low. You can't block this thing.
You're talking about the 38-yarder at the end of regulation in Chicago that would have won it. So there's a couple things to keep in mind. You're looking at this formation. The Lions, they have to treat it almost like it's a kickoff. They cannot try and pressure the kick, but they can return it.
They do have the opportunity to return.
So here we go. Mason Crosby from 69 yards out on the free kick.
The crowd here at Lambeau is loving this.
That is Matt Flynn, the rookie out of LSU, doing the holding. What do you think, Lynchy? Does he get it close?
Well, he's going into the wind. Mason said right before the game, this is the way the wind blows in your face, but it's got a chance.
Oh, it's just short. Wow, that ended up about 3 yards short, but an outstanding effort by Mason Crosby. So the free kick from 69 yards out is just that short. So a little fun at the end of the first half. Packers lead at 14-7. Visa halftime report after. Back at the start of the second half at Lambeau Field, the Packers took an early 14-0 lead. Then a touchdown toss from Dan Orlovsky to Calvin Johnson cut the deficit in half. Take a look at the first half stats. Packer ground game getting it done this afternoon, John Lynch.
They are. They're running the ball effectively. Most of the credit goes to Deshaun Wynn on the long run there, but Ryan Grant is starting to show signs of the back that that the Green Bay Packers thinks he is. And the Packers off to a great start. Aaron Rodgers is sharp. Detroit, on the other hand, is keeping it close. I think Rod Marinelli sold to his guys, keep this game close going in. Everybody knows about Green Bay's struggle finishing close games. The Lions want to keep this thing close. I think they got to continue to take shots downfield to Calvin Johnson. They're doing a good job in the run game. You've got to take the shots downfield to your best player.
Well, Calvin Johnson has caught 4 passes this afternoon. They've thrown to him 7 times so far, so at least they're efforting, as we like to say in the television business. Mason Crosby kicks it off, and a great start for the Lions as Avion Cason watches it go out of bounds. They'll start with great field position. Ball's going to go all the way up to the 40. Well, once again, Chris Rose joined by the 9-time Pro Bowl safety John Lynch, who just retired this season, and somebody wants to get back on the field. Let's see. First of all, show sleeveless up here today, folks. 10-degree wind chill, my man's sleeveless. Are you insane?
I've been in Lambeau Field many times, never wore sleeves, so why start now?
You played in one of the coldest games ever here, right?
I think the second coldest game in Lambeau history.
Yeah.
It's a lot colder in the booth, though.
Yeah. Don't let him fool you, folks. He was wearing a jacket earlier. Dan Orlovsky on the first play of the second half gets it out to his tight end, John Owens, who gets nailed by Brady Papinga. Lynch felt that one all the way up here, sleeveless and all.
Nice call by Detroit right there. They've been running the ball on first down, fake the run, go to the bootleg. Orlovsky actually had Calvin Johnson downfield, chose to check it down.
Well, here are your offensive leaders. Kevin Smith just averaging 2.5 yards per carry so far, but he has hit half the century mark so far. 2nd and 8 now. Smith gets it up the middle for about 5 or so. Aaron Campman on the tackle.
Seeing a lot of success with Kevin Smith and the Detroit Lions in the cutback game. You're going to see Stephen Peterman.
Yeah.
You caught me.
Back on. Who's the rookie? Who's the rookie? It's the old setup. You're probably one of those guys that went out and got turkeys on Thanksgiving Day as well, your rookie year. You fell for that one, too. Look at this. We get one dressed. Now tough guy. Me, tough guy. All right, so here we go. 3rd and 2. Orlovsky out of the shotgun, puts Johnson in motion, and he hits Calvin Johnson. Tackled quickly there by Al Harris, but not before the Lions move the chains again.
Yeah, nice job by Orlovsky and Calvin Johnson right there, converting on third down. I think the key to that, you get yourself in 3rd and shorts. In 3rd and shorts, it's easy to convert. You get in those 3rd and 7 pluses. Those are tough situations against this Packer secondary to convert.
You like the way they're using Calvin Johnson today?
I do. I mean, they're mixing underneath. I think they still need to take more shots downfield. Every time they've gone downfield, they've been successful. Whether he's covered or not, the guy's going to make plays. I think they got to continue to force the ball downfield to him.
Well, it's Smith's opportunity to make a play. He cuts outside. There is a flag on the play as Nick Collins pushes him out of bounds. Let's see who they're going to get. Initial indications are it might be on John Standiford. If so, that would wipe out a 19-yard run. Ed Hockley. Indeed, it was Standiford, and wipes out a big chunk play, as the Lions like to call it.
You're going to see Standiford outside doing a nice job, working hard against Woodson. But right there, as Woodson tries to escape, they catch him catching the jersey, and that's a big loss for the Detroit Lions. A big gain by Kevin Smith, brought back by the holding by Standiford.
Well, it's now going to be 1st and 9. They're going to mark it back from the spot of the foul. So I suppose that's the good news for the Lions on the play. That is Jerome Felton, the rookie out of Furman, toting the rock for just the 2nd time this season, and the Lions told us this is a young guy they want to get a look at.
Well, he was the starting fullback at the beginning of the year. They brought in Norris, who's done a great job. He hasn't been able to get his job back. He's a guy who in college at Furman carried the ball a little bit. They wanted to see him. They thought, particularly if it was going to be the inclement weather, slippery foot, and he's a guy that could pound the Green Bay Packers, who have struggled stopping the run on defense this year.
And if they get anywhere near the goal line, look for Felton, who scored 63 rushing touchdowns in his career. 2nd and 5, and Kevin Smith back into the ball game. Orlovsky, little play action, and he's looking downfield for Johnson, who's working on Harris. A little pushing and shoving, and no call by the referee. And it looked like Johnson might have gotten away with one there.
Yeah, I think he did, but I think it was uncatchable. Tremendous job by Al Harris right here. You're going to see Orlovsky break the pocket. Look at Al Harris right there. He's not going for that double move. He knew they were taking a shot downfield. That's a veteran move by Al Harris. And a tremendous play.
Looked like maybe their feet got tangled, and that's why there was no call. Orlovsky wanted it for his team. Al Harris wanted it for his squad. No call, and so it's 3rd and 5.
That's what I dealt with for 15 years. They never call it on offense.
Not once?
Not once.
That tight end would get you too, wouldn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Thought so. Avion Cason in the backfield next to Orlovsky, working out of the gun on 3rd. Pressured. And ball short, intended for Casey Fitzsimmons, tight end. So now on 4th and 5, it looks like Nick Harris is going to come on and punt. We've seen him try for it on 4th down a couple of times. Here it's manageable. Why no decision to go for it here?
Well, I think if 4th and less than 5, you go for it. They're right at 4th and 5. I think this is the smart call right now. You're playing with the Packers. You know, some people may say, heck, you got nothing to lose, but I think you're in the game. If they can keep it close, they feel good about their chances.
Harris boots it away. Blackman calling for the fair catch at his own 9. And so we will see Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense for the first time in the second half. 10-degree wind chill at Lambeau Field. Obviously somebody didn't get his shirt for Christmas this year. Jason Spitz remains in the game at center for the injured Scott Wells. And Grant, submarine, and the ball is loose, and it looks like maybe the Lions have recovered. They have indeed.
A great job on this play by Calvin Pearson coming down into the box and just putting his helmet right on the ball. Ryan Grant's got a hold on the ball, but great job by Calvin Pearson.
Hey, gets the recovery as well.
Gets the recovery right there. Rod Marinelli talked about how much he loves this guy, Calvin Pearson. He was brought in here really to be a fourth safety, a special teams contributor. Due to injuries, he's had to play. And he's done a great job. Here comes the challenge by Mike McCarthy.
Well, we're going to have to see whether or not he was down, because Grant went head over heels. Now the question is, you know, was the helmet down? Was the ball coming out? And that's what McCarthy wants him to take a look at. Now, if the helmet hits on the ground, I don't know. John, what do you see? You see the ball coming out?
I think the ball's coming loose there. You see him struggling for the ball there. If his head were down, and Ed Hockley said.
So Ed Hockley's going to peek under the hood. The Packers with the challenge. The Green Bay Packers have challenged the fumble by Ryan Grant, the recovery by Calvin Pearson. Ed Hockley's taking a look.
The ball comes loose from the runner's hand before his head hits the ground. Therefore, the ruling in the field stands as called. It was a fumble, recovered by Detroit, and Green Bay is charged with their first timeout.
John Lynch, as you said, the ball was loose before his head hit the ground.
Yeah, you're going to see Ryan Grant go here. Now, if his head had hit and he had control of the ball, it's the Packers' ball. But the ball, as you're going to see right in there, I think it's coming loose. There's movement, and remember, it had to be conclusive evidence to overturn it. I believe the ball was moving, certainly not enough to overturn it.
So what did we say at the beginning of the game? Rod Marinelli said, please, let's get some turnovers. Well, here you've got one, and now you're at the 11-yard line. That's Calvin Johnson in motion. Smith up the gut for maybe 2. Johnny Jolly, a big afternoon for him with the stop.
We've called Johnny Jolly's name a lot today. They've struggled in the middle. This is a team that had Colin Jenkins, who was a disruptive force. They've really missed him due to injury. Johnny Jolly stepping up and playing the type of football they've expected out of him all year. And Ryan Pickett, they're doing a nice job on the defensive front today.
So now the football inside the 10 of the Green Bay Packers. Johnson and Standiford lined up to the left for Orlovsky. That's Standiford in motion. Flags and a false start on Detroit.
Jeff Backus was moving early there.
False start offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Yeah, the 8-year vet out of Michigan, the first ever pick of the Matt Millen regime.
Remember last time they were in this situation, about the same part of the field, this is when they went to Calvin Johnson, took a shot up top. This is an area in the red zone where you can get one-on-one matchups. I'd throw it up to Calvin Johnson right here.
Ball pushed back to the 14-yard line now. 3 receivers set for Orlovsky, working out of the shotgun. Orlovsky hits Johnson, gets in the middle of the field, and he gets it down to the goal line. Is it a touchdown? It is! Calvin Johnson with his second touchdown of the afternoon as he breaks the tackle of Nick Collins, the Pro Bowler, for the 14-yard score.
The Lions have done a nice job. You're going to see Calvin Johnson come in motion. You got to constantly move a player of his magnitude so that they can't double cover you. They get him the ball in space. He makes Nick Collins, a Pro Bowl player, miss a tackle, gets in for the touchdown. Great job by the Lions capitalizing on the turnover forced by Calvin Pearson.
Pearson with the hit and the recovery. Johnson with his second touchdown. Hansen, we are tied. So we might be 0-15, say the Lions, but we got 14 and you got 14. All square at Lambeau. The law firm of Pearson and Johnson billing some hours on Sunday. Calvin Pearson with the hit and the fumble recovery, setting up Calvin Johnson with his second touchdown of the afternoon from 14 yards out. And now we are tied at 14.
I talked to Joe Barry, the Lions defensive coordinator. He spoke, as I just mentioned earlier. Calvin Pearson was really brought in here to be a force safety, an insurance safety, and a special teams player. They said he's probably playing better defense than anyone on the entire Lions defense right now.
And so now a pumped-up Lions team gets a great kickoff from Hanson Black and takes it 5 yards deep in the end zone and gets back to the 20-yard line, and that's where he is dragged down. So now let's focus a little bit, John, on Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. Mentally, they're facing an 0-15 team. Yes, they've had problems of their own because they've lost 5 in a row, but you're thinking you don't want to be the one that's going to lose to the 0-15 squad.
You're absolutely right. I've been in these situations before. As we talked, you don't want to be the team for the Lions' sake to go 0-16. You certainly don't want to be the Packers, the team that let them go 1-15, but not the way you want to end the season. Green Bay's got to make a statement right here on this drive.
Let's see if they give it to Ryan Grant. Of course, he fumbled on his last touch. Here, a little play action. Rodgers is going to get dropped again. It is Dwayne White. 6.5 sacks, now leads the Lions for the 6th-year man out of Louisville.
Dwayne White had been nicked all day, all week long. You're going to see Dwayne White coming off the corner here against College. Runs a little game, comes inside. Great job by Dwayne White. He's been slowed down by a calf all week long, but showed a nice burst there and then finishes the deal on the sack of Rodgers.
And let's remember, Darren College is getting his first start of the year over at right tackle, part of that reshuffled offensive line for Mike McCarthy. Now Rodgers is just going to dump it off to Grant. Gets it back up to the original line of scrimmage, where he is tackled by Paris Lennon. And I got to tell you, Lambeau Field, which is one of your favorite places to play on the road because you love the energy and how the fans are into it, it's quiet. Dare I say we're almost at a Lions home game. Yeah, that's how quiet it is.
It's a little quiet right there. Around here, they got to get back momentum on this drive. Detroit has seized the momentum. The Packers' job right now to get some momentum back.
Packers 2 for 6 on third down conversion. Rodgers out of the shotgun, has Deshaun Wynn in the backfield. Rodgers looking deep downfield for Jennings. Works his way back to the ball and gets it in front of Daniel Bullets. A great adjustment by Jennings, and the Packers get the big play they so desperately needed.
Nice job by Rodgers right there. He gets enough protection to sit back and throw the ball, but give your number one receiver an opportunity to catch the ball. Throw it up there, even if he's covered. You got Greg Jennings on a receiver. He'll go get the ball. Great job by Greg Jennings. Great job by Aaron Rodgers, giving him the opportunity to make a big play. And there's that momentum that we talked about Green Bay needing.
And for Jennings, his 8th catch of 40-plus yards this season, that goes for 47. Rodgers hits Driver, stopped for no gain. A little pushing and shoving. Let's see if any flags are going to fly this time. It looked like Ernie Sims got in a serious pop. And there's a whole bunch of players involved in this one. There's another late shove and another one. I'll tell you, the intensity-ometer, if that's a word, has gone up significantly.
Yeah, who says these guys aren't playing for anything?
All right, let's see exactly what happened as Driver caught the pass in front of Lee Bodden. A little bit of shove from Driver, push from Bodden. Alan Barber gets involved in it. It was borderline better than the Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya bout there.
Usually the second push draws the penalty. We have about 4 or 5 there, and I think a good job by the officials. They understand that these guys are playing with energy. It's a divisional game. Even if it's at the end of the year, neither team going to the playoffs, she's seeing great emotion from both teams. Fired the pack crowd up for sure.
Well, the crowd trying to get back into it, deliver a little energy. Empty backfield for Rogers on 2nd and 10. Rogers looking and misfiring. First incompletion after he had connected on 6 in a row.
The Packers felt that this 5-wide look could give the Detroit Lions trouble. The Detroit Lions admitted they struggle in space. That's a great way. Right there, he had the matchup. He had Greg Jennings on a safety, Daniel Bullocks. A little pressure there by the left side, Dwayne White, and that doesn't let Aaron Rodgers throw the ball where he wants to throw it.
Well, let's be honest. The Lions really don't have enough quality guys in their secondary to compete with that kind of formation, do they?
They got Kelvin Pearson playing the nickel. He's really a safety. We've talked about him. He's doing a great job in there, but really not a true nickel defender in this league.
Well, 3rd and 10, and Rodgers just gets the snap off. Had to hold it a little bit longer than he wanted. Donald Lee just could not get his footing. Rodgers got pressured and incomplete.
Looks like they're going for it here.
Well, here is the pressure from Detroit. Langston Moore there to drop Aaron Rodgers, and it does look like Mike McCarthy's going to say, you know what? Let's go for it. It would be right around a 51-yard field goal attempt by Mason Crosby if he'd wanted to go for it.
I think maybe this speaks to a little bit of Mike McCarthy's confidence or lack thereof in Mason Crosby after last week in Chicago. Give Aaron Rodgers a chance to make a play here.
Rodgers looking deep downfield, and the ball is caught by Jones and then dropped. A big hit there by Ramsey Robinson, and there's a late flag as Robinson, it looked like, started jawing with Jones.
Just simply can't do that. Ramsey Robinson makes a great play, knocks the ball out, but they're going to call him for taunting right here. He gets in his face after the play. It could be first down for Green Bay after a great stop for the Detroit Lions.
And Rod Marinelli.
After the play was over, taunting by the defense, number 38. It's Green Bay. It's Detroit's ball. The foul happened after the play was over. Therefore, it's Detroit's ball. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced against Detroit. It will be their ball, 1st and 10.
All right, so it is a dumb penalty from Ramsey Robinson, a second-year man out of Alabama. The good news is post-possession. Possession had already changed over, so at least Detroit will hang on to the ball.
Let's watch the good part. Ramsey Robinson drives on James Jones and just gets his hand in there, makes a nice strip. You can't do that part. That's selfish on his part. That hurts his team. Fortunately, it was after the play and didn't give the Packers the opportunity to have the ball in the red zone.
Now the question is, if you're 0-15, how much taunting should you be doing?
You shouldn't be doing any taunt. You should play the game of football. Rod Marinelli, more than anybody, believes in respecting the game. I'm sure right now he's going to be in Ramsey Robinson's ear saying, nice play, but let's not go there. His teammates are doing it for him.
Yeah. So the Lions, after the defense holds, taking over at its own 18. Smith across the 20 up to the 24. Dragged down by Michael Montgomery.
Nice gain right there with Kevin Smith and the Lions. One of the things I'd like to see them do on first down, we're getting in this pattern, run on first down, run on second down, throw the ball deep on first down. They had Calvin Johnson one-on-one on Al Harris. Green Bay understands the pattern. They're going to stack the box with 8 guys on first and second down. Third down, they're going to give them help. Go after them on first down deep.
Well, Smith, the lone setback on 2nd and 4. That's Casey Fitzsimmons, the tight end in motion. And Smith again buried. Montgomery gets him again. And a flag on the play as well. Dan Orlovsky is signaling it's against Green Bay.
Holding defense, number 90. 5-yard penalty and automatic first down.
That's Colin Cole, backup defensive tackle, with the rare holding call against the defensive line.
I think that's a good call. You see Colin Cole holding Stephen Peterman right there on the play. Nice job by the umpire. You're going to see Colin Cole right there. Watch at the end of the play, him grab Stephen Peterman, holding him up, not allowing him to get up to the second level.
I got to tell you, that wasn't much of a hold.
No, from the end zone view, you could see it. And the NFL's had an emphasis on that the last couple of years, calling these guys from holding up. Now, sometimes that's their job, keep them off the linebackers, but when you do it too obvious, they're going to get called.
So now first down, and Smith juggles the ball, but retains possession, gets drilled out of bounds by A.J. Hawk. Smith with a career-best 25th carry on the afternoon.
25 carries, they're wearing him out. Now Green Bay's starting to see the pattern that we're seeing, running on first and second down. They're starting to stack the box. I'm telling you, the shot downfield is going to be there to Calvin Johnson if they just take it.
Well, that's Josh Sitton, who knows all about what Kevin Smith can do. Of course, he blocked for Smith down at Central Florida. 2nd and 8. Orlovsky hitting Johnson again for a first down in front of Brandon Schiller.
Orlovsky talked about these stack formations. It's a way again to get Calvin Johnson, to get the pressure off him, get the double coverage off him. That time they bring Standiford in motion. It opens up Calvin Johnson underneath, gives them a nice window. They have a nice conversion for a first down.
Well, they have thrown to Johnson 11 times this afternoon, connected 7 times for 87 yards and a couple of scores. Another first down for the Lions. Orlovsky on a bootleg, looking downfield, and the ball is caught and then dropped. That's John Owens, the tight end. Got his fingertips on it before it was knocked away.
I like that call. We talk about the pattern running on first down. Fake the run to Kevin Smith. You're going to attract the defense. Orlovsky gives Owens a chance to catch the ball. Would have been a tough catch, but need to make that one.
Well, you can see the confidence growing on the Detroit sideline, and also with this young offense engineered by 4th-year pro Dan Orlovsky. Smith with his 26th carry of the day for about 2 yards. That'll leave him 3rd and long as A.J. Hawk makes the play.
Nice play there by the front 7 of Detroit, of Green Bay. You know, one of the reasons Detroit has an opportunity, Kevin Smith's a good back, but one of the reasons they can run the ball effectively, Calvin Johnson draws so much attention. It's hard to get that 8th guy in the box. Smith continues to get stronger, though, as you see this game goes on.
He's a guy that's averaged 4.2 yards per carry throughout his rookie season. Replaced here on 3rd down by Avion Cason. No Rudy Johnson today. He is inactive for the Lions. Orlovsky looking downfield for Standiford, and the ball is dropped as Charlie Pepra had it in his paws. So the Lions will have to boot it away.
One thing that little shoving match did, it fired this crowd up. The crowd was kind of dead. The Lambeau faithful are back and loud and noisy, and we'll see if Green Bay can capitalize it on this drive.
Nick Harris on to punt it away to Will Blackman. Once again, 2 punt returns for touchdowns this season. The 3rd-year man out of Boston College. Harris gets away a beauty. Blackman lets it bounce into the end zone. So tied at 14 with under 5 to go in the 3rd as Aaron Rodgers gets ready to go back to work. Things heating up at chilly Lambeau Field. The 0-15 Detroit Lions, they were down 14-0 in the first quarter. They have come back to tie it with 4:22 to go in the 3rd. Ryan Grant. A big run gets it up to the 40 and dragged down.
I don't think he ever touched his knee.
Well, Grant is still going, and he is into the end zone. Now, the referees looked like originally they said he was down, but Grant kept going.
Ed Hockley's getting together with his crew right now talking about it.
And this is key, whatever call they make on the field. Very important. Wow. John, what do you think? Does he look down?
I think he's on the ground there. I think his backside's on the ground. But they're going to go, I think they're going to take it to replay.
Another player. Touchdown.
Well, Ed Hockley's crew says touchdown. Rod Marinelli says red flag pronto. They didn't waste any time with the challenge.
That's the quickest flag I've seen, and I think rightly so. I think this one's going to come back. Remember, it has to be conclusive. I think that replay was fairly conclusive, though.
So if it stands, you're looking at an 80-yard touchdown.
Now remember, Ryan Grant's hand can be down, but any other part of his body touches the ground, he's down. Can't quite see on that angle, but I think on the other angle you can see his backside touch the ground.
So it is ruled an 80-yard touchdown, challenged by Rod Marinelli and the Lions. Was he down? We'll find out. An 80-yard touchdown run by Ryan Grant under review. Was any part of his body down, John Lynch?
I think right there.
Or he was down by contact at the 41-yard line. It's first down, and there are no charged timeouts.
It has to be conclusive, and I think it was there. Smart play by Ryan Grant, though. Get up, keep running, make him go under the booth, under the tent, and make the call.
Great acting job as well by Grant. You want to get all those great performances in before the end of the year so they can qualify for Oscar nominations, of course, in the spring. But a great job by him. I mean, that's what you're taught to do. Keep going if you don't think you're down.
And even without the touchdown, nice gain. The Packers are seeing a lot of good signs. They're starting to get those 20-plus runs right there from Ryan Grant.
Now that one, 21 instead of 80. So Grant up to 76 yards on the afternoon, averaging almost 7 yards per carry. That's Donald Lee, the tight end, in motion. They'll try Grant again, up to about the 45-yard line, dragged down by Calvin Pearson.
You see a nice job by Calvin Pearson coming off the slot in the nickel on a nickel blitz. That's really what he is. He's a safety. They bring him on the run blitz. Calvin Pearson makes a nice play on Ryan Grant.
Well, this is a defense that tried to build a little bit up front in recent years with some draft picks in Averill and Llewellyn, and those guys were drafted this year. Their secondary obviously hurting with some serious injuries to the likes of Dwight Smith. At least they're trying to get it done. And here James Jones gets it done with a little shake and bake and into Detroit.
A high into that, Chuck.
Into Detroit territory.
It's a nice job. Remember earlier in the game, this is the same look that the toss came from. They faked the toss and come on back to on the slant route.
Machine froze. It happens when the wind chill dips below 10. So now the Packers trying to get into an offensive rhythm. Very quiet here at Lambeau, though. Very quiet. Rodgers on the boot, looking and finding Jordy Nelson up near the first down marker. Pearson there to shove him out of bounds.
Aaron Rodgers really throwing the football well. Again, Detroit talked, every player we talked to, and Coach Marinelli talked about him throwing on the run and how effective he is on the run. Look at that. That's just a perfect job of delivering a nice strike to Jordy Nelson. These Green Bay Packers go 5 deep at receivers. All of them can play. All get thrown the ball from Aaron Rodgers.
Nelson, a second-round pick out of Kansas State that caught 122 passes his final year in Manhattan. And here is Grant again, moving the chains again as well.
I like his running style right now. He's going downhill, running straight downhill, running hard, showing good vision. This is the Ryan Grant we saw at the end of the year last year.
Now, if you're Detroit, and of course you're looking to build and rebuild as they are just about every 2 or 3 years, you know, you're missing that big guy in the middle. They traded away Sean Rogers in the offseason. That's the guy, obviously, they missed the most.
I believe so, absolutely. This defense to work. When Tony Dungy got down to Tampa, we played this defense. He said Warren Sapp was the most important cog to it. You had a guy in Sean Rogers, you let him go. That's their challenge. Go find a guy that can change things.
Well, there, right in the middle of the field, it's Donald Lee making the catch. Calvin Pearson with the jarring hit, and the Lions are saying that the ball was knocked loose, that it shouldn't have been a catch. And look at this. The Packers, you're talking about game management. Hurry up, get to the line, and snap it if you can before the challenge flag comes in.
See the play action, hold the backers. Nice ball by Aaron Rodgers. Calvin Pearson comes up with a nice hit. It does look like he's juggling that ball. It's a matter of whether it hit the ground or not.
Well, how about that? It is ruled incomplete after everybody gets down to about the 15-yard line.
Yeah, and you think when you're 1-15, these games aren't important. Calvin Pearson's all over this field right now, making big plays for the Detroit Lions. Great play by Calvin Pearson, breaking up a strike from Aaron Rodgers.
So originally it looked like a completed pass. The Packers and everybody else moves downfield, and then the refs, they confer and they say, you know what, incomplete.
And I think they made a good call there. If you're Donald Lee, Aaron Rodgers expects you to catch that ball. You got to hold on despite taking the hit.
So now 2nd and 10 for Rodgers, who has seen many of his receivers drop passes this afternoon. 7 on the afternoon. Now Rodgers is going to have to burn a timeout. That is Green Bay's 2nd timeout. We'll see if that factors into play in the 4th quarter. Well, more football coming your way later today on Fox. The Dallas Cowboys, with a win in Philadelphia, clinch a postseason berth. But Brian Westbrook and the Eagles, they said, you know what? We hate the Cowboys. Now, the Eagles will know pretty much by kickoff whether or not they're still eligible for the postseason. They have to have some things go their way.
Detroit's not only trying to win today, they're rooting for Philly right here, too.
Look at these guys. Apparently a few members of our promo department pulling up to Green Bay. Nice job, guys.
I mentioned Detroit pulling for Philly. Detroit, because of the Roy Williams trade, has Dallas's first round. Dallas loses, the pick gets better for them.
Well, the question is, what do you do with those selections? You got to make them count, something the Lions have not done in recent years. Well, that's Grant off the left side. Nice chunk of change there for about 8. Calvin Pearson again.
See a nice run there. As I said earlier, Ryan Grant's doing a great job of running downhill. You're going to see him start left. A nice block there by College and an exceptional run. That was Sitton on the nice block. Good job by the Green Bay Packers. Mike McCarthy talked about Sitton and how he kind of fits the mold. His ideal offensive line is power on the right side, athleticism on the left. You saw the power of Josh Sitton. They're excited about him.
So now 3rd and 3. Rodgers fires and connects. Has a first down with James Jones making the snag. Guy that's been bothered all season with an injured knee. And that is going to be the final snap of the 3rd quarter. The Lions force a turnover, get a 2nd touchdown by Calvin Johnson, and the winless Lions right in this thing as we head to the 4th. We are 15 minutes away from the Detroit Lions either making history or avoiding it. Living the, come on now. You can't be living the dream at 0-16. It has been a nightmare season for that man, Rod Marinelli, but undaunted, he has his team right in this game. Rodgers on the first play of the 4th quarter, pressured, and he is dropped again. Langston Moore All right, let's show you how we got to 14-14. First quarter, Deshaun Wynn with the Packers' longest touchdown run of the year, 73 yards. And then it was the rookie out of Texas, Jermichael Finley, with his first score of the year. Dan Orlovsky to Calvin Johnson, and then another Calvin Pearson, forcing the fumble, recovering it deep in Packer territory, and they find Johnson again.
And we talked in the open, they got to ride their stars. They're wearing out both Kevin Smith and Calvin Johnson. I think that's the recipe for success for Detroit.
2nd and 10 for Rodgers. Incomplete, intended for Jennings, who wanted a flag on the play, and he will get nothing and not like it.
Nice play by Lee Bodden right there. You're going to see Bodden on the physical bump, get his hand in there. I think that's a good call. There's contact, but I think that's a clean play. Good job by Lee Bodden.
Bodden, of course, the guy that came over from Cleveland in the trade for Shaun Rodgers. They also picked up a 3rd-round pick, which they used on Andre Fluellen, who made the start today. Bodden has the lone interception for the Detroit secondary this season. 3rd and 11 out of the gun. Rodgers looking, hitting Jennings, well short of the first down, and a nice tackle by Calvin Pearson.
Calvin Pearson's playing a heck of a game today. You see him come down as a safety, make a play on Ryan Grant, force the turnover. Right there, that's been a problem for Detroit's defense throughout. The focus of this defense, get them to check it down underneath, but then you got to tackle. That's been the Achilles heel of this defense, particularly in space. Great play by Calvin Pearson right there.
What did Rod Marinelli tell us yesterday? I don't have time for people that don't tackle well. If you don't tackle, I'm going to vomit on you.
He did say that. And he also said that Calvin Pearson's a guy he loves because he loves the game of football, and you can see that coming out here today.
So now it is Mason Crosby from 36 yards out to give the Packers the lead again. He is true, and the Pack is back up by 3. Lions, though, sticking around. Green Bay with its first point since the first quarter, taking a 3-point lead over the winless Lions, courtesy of a Mason Crosby 36-yard field goal. Now the second-year man out of Colorado to boot it away to Avion Cason. From the goal line. Drilled Charlie Pepra there with the hit at the 20. And, John, we talked to Dan Orlovsky yesterday. If it's close in the fourth quarter, what's the mentality of this team?
Well, he said straight up, I think if this game's close at the end, they're going to look to me, Dan Orlovsky talking about himself, and Coach Marinelli. They're the leaders of this team. I think if Dan Orlovsky wants to be a good leader right now, throw the ball to Calvin Johnson.
Well, as you said, you'd like to see him throw it a little bit more on first down. Take that chance deep to 81. 7 of those 10 completions have been to Calvin Johnson. Instead, they'll keep it on the ground. Smith for 3. Now, at the beginning of the broadcast, John, you mentioned give it to Kevin Smith, throw it to Calvin Johnson. That's what they've done. Anybody else? Hello? Anyone else? Less than 20 yards for the rest of the team.
And that's the challenge of this organization. Their roster is depleted of talent. They got a couple young stars. They're riding them, but you can't win football games in the NFL without multiple players.
Maybe the reason Orlovsky doesn't throw it to that guy is because he can't see him. Little play action, and Orlovsky overthrows Calvin Johnson as Nick Collins, who's been around the ball all afternoon, was probably the closest guy. And at 6'5", Calvin Johnson seems like a tough target to miss, but he's overthrown him a couple times today.
Yeah, that's a missed throw right there by Orlovsky. A nice design of the play. They've been wearing out Kevin Smith. They bring Calvin Johnson in motion. Look like he's going to seal off on the run the bootleg off it. Detroit doing a nice job continuing to come up different ways to utilize Calvin.
Orlovsky, just 2 of his last 7, has 3 receivers in the pattern, including Johnson in motion on 3rd and 7. And the ball is hit as Orlovsky released it. And Fitzsimmons kind of got tackled by Brandon Chiller there as he was trying to make a play, and he's pleading his case, but to no avail.
Well, smart play by Brandon Chiller right now. Once the ball's tipped, there is no pass interference. You're going to see the pressure by Green Bay right here. Nice job by Jeremy Thompson right there, one of the young kids they're really counting on to get this front four back to where they've been.
So Thompson didn't actually get a piece of the ball, but he got a big piece of Orlovsky and maybe his face mask, as the quarterback wanted to call. Instead, Nick Harris is on to punt yet again. Blackman going to take it at his 35. Trying to break it outside. He's got a little bit of space and stopped at the 47-yard line, a return of 12 yards. The Packers with a 3-point lead and the ball. The musical chairs continue on the Green Bay Packers front line. Only 2 offensive line starters are in the same position where they started the day. Tony Mall is checked in now at right tackle, and Darren College, who is over there, is back at his natural left guard position. Jason Spitz stays in at center for the injured Scott Wells. Grant off the right side, up near the first down as Ernie Sims shoves him out, and a flag as well.
Going to get Ernie Sims for a late hit there. Those are tough plays as a defensive player. You got a guy running for his life down the sidelines. You're going to jump on him here by Ernie Sims.
Defense number 50, 15-yard penalty, first down.
See Ernie Sims here, right here, come to finish the play. That's a tough decision. That's one you got to pull off on, though.
You ever gotten that call?
I've got that quite a bit.
You got a lot of call from the commissioner's office, did you not?
A couple times.
Yeah. Basically why you still need to work. Gave back a few of those dollars. So after the 15 yards, the ball down at the 27. Deshaun Wynn in the backfield in the eye. And it is Wynn hurdling and getting down to the 20. Big man showing some athleticism right there.
Deshaun Wynn's done a nice job coming in today. Their second running back, Brandon Jackson, out with a wrist injury. Deshaun Wynn's come in and really given him a good lift when he's had to replace and give Ryan Grant a rest.
Well, this is a guy who made 4 starts in 2007. This year, though, he spent the first 5 weeks on the practice squad, elevated in mid-October, and he's a guy that they feel like is working his way into their system. Of course, every team needs a couple of good running backs.
Yeah, they got a lot of young players. You look at this Green Bay roster, there's depth on this roster. Their skill positions are great. Mike McCarthy talks about the emphasis they got to build from the lines. I think that's where they look for in the future.
It's Grant again, dragged down. Sean Cody in on the stop. Grant gets near the first down marker. Grant now over 100 on the afternoon for the 4th time this season, 9th time on his career. And it is indeed a first down. So now if you're that Detroit defense, John, you've got to somehow hold them to a field goal try.
They've done a good job. You look at the yardage, Green Bay up to 360 yards. But Detroit's done a nice job keeping them out of the end zone for the most part. They got to do it again right here to stay in this game.
Well, the Packers average just over 100 yards a game on the ground, right now at 189. Grant again, and runs right into a couple of Lions. Sean Cody has had a nice afternoon with the stop. 4th-year man out of USC, former 2nd-round pick.
This Green Bay offensive line, they're mixing and matching, putting together a lineup out there, but they're doing a nice job. Mike McCarthy, though, said to take the next step forward, and a lot of this has to do with health. They'd really like to get a consistent unit and play with a group for a multiple of games together. Continuity in an offensive line is huge in this league, and they haven't had that this entire year.
That's Deshaun Wynn in motion. Empty backfield for Rodgers. Looking. Throws and connects with Jennings for another first down out at the 5-yard line.
Really impressed with Aaron Rodgers. He's living in the shadow of a legend in Brett Favre. They love the guy around here, but you look at Aaron Rodgers' year. ultimately, and what impressed me most when we sat down with him, he understands more than anybody you're going to be judged at this position by wins and losses. He hasn't done it yet, but I think if you're a Packer fan, you got to feel good about the future. This guy can do it all. He can stay back in the pocket, throws the ball with tremendous accuracy, has the arm to make every throw, and then as you see right there, can break the pocket and make throws downfield.
That's Jeff Backus on this team since 2001, wondering if he is about to make some history. Grant stopped by Ernie Sims, this time in the field of play. No gain.
And you watch Ernie Sims and these Detroit Lions, you see them all flow into the football. There's no quit in this team. They're fighting hard. They may not have the athletes, but they're really putting the effort out as they have all year to try to get this win.
All right, so now as a defense, what do? You got to keep them out of the end zone. There's probably not enough time for this kind of offense to generate 10 points.
You just simply got to do it. Whatever you got to do, you got to keep them out of the end zone.
Rodgers, play action, hits the fullback Kuhn, who dives into the end zone for a touchdown. And Kuhn with the Lambeau leap, his second receiving touchdown of the year.
You see on the play, Kuhn right here, going to come through there. Aaron Rodgers with a nice fake to Deshaun Wynn, hits him out in the flat. Paris Lennon tries to make the play, but touchdown. Nice design of a play by Green Bay. Beautiful pass by Aaron Rodgers.
Second TD toss on the day for Aaron Rodgers, his 27th of the season, and now the Packers with a 10-point lead. And for the first time since the first quarter, Packers fans are jumping for joy a little bit. Touchdown catch by that man, backup fullback John Kuhn. Green Bay now with a 10-point lead. Aaron Rodgers closing in on 4,000 passing yards for the season. Mason Crosby, a good solid kick to Avion Cason. And kind of appropriate that they were playing jump around here at Lambeau Field because that's what they like to do. A little leaping. We've seen it from Deshaun Wynn and Jermichael Finley. Even when the fullback gets up there, it's impressive. But how about this? Matt Kenseth, your 2003 Nextel Cup champion and Wisconsin native and Packer fan.
He struggled a little, but who said these NASCAR guys aren't athletes? That's a high wall right there.
He'll be back at his regular job in mid-February for the Daytona 500 right here on Fox. Do you like that Lambeau leap? You loved seeing that as a Buccaneer, didn't you?
I hated seeing it.
Yeah.
That was not good for us every time we saw that.
Yeah, I know. So here the Lions go down 10. Orlovsky looking and has a man. Standiford makes a juggling catch. Gets it into Packer territory and down at the 44. There is a flag down.
I think it's going to be pass interference on Harris would be my thought.
Before the pass, illegal contact, defense number 31. That penalty is declined. The play results in a first down.
And there's that silhouette. They finally found him. It's John Standiford.
We've discovered him. A gain of 35. But that ball way behind him. I mean, he had beaten Al Harris.
Behind him, but a great job by Standiford coming back and fighting for the ball, competing for it. You can't go to the other guys all day long. You need somebody else to contribute. They get a nice play out of Standiford right there.
A guy who finished his career in college at Purdue, the leader in the Big Ten in receptions and receiving yards. And this one incomplete, intended for Casey Fitzsimmons. Nick Collins, the Pro Bowler, on the coverage.
You see double coverage right there. He really tried to force that one in. You had Nick Collins and Brandon Chiller on the coverage.
So now 8:01 to go as the Lions trying to avoid becoming the first 0-16 team in NFL history. You feel like you got to quicken the pace a little bit offensively?
I think you can still run your game plan. You're down by 10 points. You get a touchdown here. You're right back in it. You just got to make sure you get points on the board here.
Orlovsky pressured, looking downfield, has a man wide open. It is Standiford who makes the catch and is out of bounds near the 10. They're going to call it the 9.
And a great job by Orlovsky buying time, stepping up in the pocket. You're going to see Standiford right there, simply dropped in coverage. Al Harris drops him thinking he's going to get safety help.
So Standiford with a gain of 35, then a gain of 36. And just like that, the Lions deep in the red zone.
This team is certainly fighting. There's no quit in these Detroit Lions, and you're seeing that throughout the game today.
There was also no Calvin Johnson on that play, but the run to Kevin Smith, he makes the cutback and the touchdown for the rookie.
Great play by Kevin Smith here. He continues to run hard. John Standiford, really the hero of that drive. You're going to see Kevin Smith on the outside toss. Good job by Warren Norris right there, kicking out. Charlie Pepra making Brandon Chiller miss. Kevin Smith continues to be impressive for the Detroit Lions.
Smith closing in on 100 yards for the second straight week. His 8th touchdown of the season. Hansen adds the PAT, and the Lions with the quick strike, they are back within 3. We don't want no stinking 0-16. What was tougher today, John Lynch? Finding the Lions' third offensive option, who was Mr. Invisible, or finding the guy who still believes?
There's one out there, and I bet there's a bunch of people out there in Detroit that are pulling from,
including a guy like Joe Barry, their defensive coordinator, of course, the son-in-law of Rod Marinelli, and he indirectly came under fire last week after the loss to New Orleans in the post-game press conference, but now it's up to his defense to get it done. Here, Will Blackman getting the ball up to the 29. Joe Barry, a guy that you know a little bit as well, and you know, this defense ranked 32nd in the league. The numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie, but I don't think it's by Joe Barry's doing. As we talked to Kevin Smith, the young rookie, he said, I don't see Joe Barry playing cornerback. Now, they haven't been totally clean, but they have played with so many different players. And even when they have their starting lineup, there's a lack of talent. You can't do it for him out there. He's a good football coach, and I think the effort of these guys out here shows. And to me, that's great coaching, that they're inspiring these guys to continue to play hard and continue to fight.
Lions have to make a stand here. Rodgers on first down, looking deep downfield. He has Donald Driver, and he's got it. Driver is going to go in for the touchdown. "71-yard pass play, the longest on the season for the Packers. And Donald Driver, just like that, his 5th straight 1,000-yard season, 6th overall. Both those are Green Bay records. Crosby adds the PAT. And the Packers match the Lions with an explosive play.
And talking to Detroit, they felt one of the keys to stopping Aaron Rodgers was keeping him in the pocket. He breaks the pocket, but an outstanding double move by Donald Driver. We saw Calvin Johnson try to do that earlier to Al Harris. Al Harris didn't go for it. Right there, Lee Bodden took the bait, took the initial move. Donald Driver, just a quick hesitation, then went. Donald Driver catches a strike from Aaron Rodgers. Tremendous throw by Rodgers.
So Joe Barry, we said his defense had to make a play. They did. Unfortunately, it was for Green Bay.
Yeah, but again, as Kevin Smith said, I don't see Joe Barry out at corner. Lee Bodden, they put him out there one-on-one. At that point in the game, you gotta know that they're gonna take a shot on you.
And Aaron Rodgers, we asked him, do you know how many yards Donald Driver needs to get to 1,000? He said, of course I do.
Yeah, he knew well. Donald Driver didn't know himself. Aaron Rodgers knew exactly what Donald Driver needed.
And how about this? He is the second quarterback to throw for at least 4,000 yards in a season in which he made his first career start. And the other guy, pretty good. A two-time league MVP in Kurt Warner.
It was an outstanding year. And I think that's part of the love that his teammates had for him. Aaron Rodgers jokingly said, hey, at 5 and 10, you got time to think about a lot of things, alluding to the fact that he knew exactly where Donald Driver was. But I think it also shows what the care that this guy has for his teammates.
Well, Mason Crosby, who's had his issues kicking the ball off of this tee, he had a busy day. He had a 69-yard free kick attempt at the end of the first half. So now trying to pin Detroit back, which finds itself down 10 points for the second time in the last minute and a half. Caisson's going to bring it out. Gets hit, spins away, and finally gets up to the 20-yard line. Now I question whether or not Detroit had enough explosiveness to get down the field in a hurry. Well, thanks to John Standifer, they did.
They made some plays. He made 2 big plays down the field. Now maybe you take some of the attention off Calvin Johnson. They understand they got to cover other people as well. But I think you're going to see Green Bay back off a little, at least keep safeties back on these receivers. They don't want to give up the quick strike right now.
Well, the Lions moved the ball 80 yards in 1 minute and 2 seconds the last time they had it. They got to step on the accelerator here as well. Orlovsky hits Johnson. Woodson hits him. He bounces off and then gets a first down up at the 32. And now at this point, you got to start looking at maybe a no huddle, and that's kind of what Orlovsky is running right now.
Yeah, they're going there. Certainly need to go to a no huddle. Right there on that play, it's a great illustration of Calvin Johnson, and I think what's going to make him special, he's got the physical talent, but he's also got the will. He wouldn't go down right there. He carried 3 or 4 guys for about 5 yards.
Orlovsky looking downfield, checks it down to Kevin Smith. Gain of about 4.
Orlovsky showing nice composure here. You know, every game that he's played, minus maybe last week, he's given these guys a chance to win. I think played better than any of the quarterbacks they've had. This guy can play in the National Football League at a good level. He was very impressive to talk to. Doing a nice job here.
Here on the screen, Smith gets a decent block and gets out of bounds after getting the first down. Moving the chains, stopping the clock. A little management by the Lions offense.
And that's the important thing. Continue to move the chains. You used to hear Brett Favre talk all about it. In 2 minutes, all he's concerned with, he's not looking at the clock, he's concerned with moving the chains. You want to go at an up-tempo style. The important thing is to move the chains. They still have time.
Orlovsky now on first down. Checks it down. As Caisson is spun out of bounds there by Tramon Williams after a short gain. Got to start looking downfield a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's also difficult right now. Green Bay content to keep the ball in front of them, come up and make the tackle. Nice job by Tramon Williams right there.
What part of the field is susceptible, though, defensively right now?
Well, I think the middle of the field right now. They're keeping the safeties over the top outside. The middle of the field in the slot, I think that's where you can get some yardage.
That one well behind Calvin Johnson, so now that's going to leave him 3rd and 7. Now less than 6 minutes away from history. The Detroit Lions already the first 0-15 team in league history, trying to avoid having their fate sealed in the record books forever. Orlovsky checks it down to Fulton, who gets rung up there by Al Harris right around the neck.
Nice play by Al Harris right there. Al Harris gives Detroit a little dose of its own medicine, goes to the old Tampa 2. Not something they really major in. They don't play a whole lot, but you watch Al Harris. Finish here. He does it with a little authority.
A Lynch special, if you will.
I taught that boy young. I had him there in Tampa as a rookie.
So here we go, 4th and 4. Orlovsky out of the gun. Throws complete and a flag down. Standifer, who's had a huge 4th quarter in front of Al Harris.
Hey, you got to make. You got to make big plays. John Standiford continuing to step up. Orlovsky showing confidence in him, going to him with Al Harris all over him.
Defense number 31. The penalty is declined. The play results in a first down.
So it would have been a first down either way, but you got to love the way Standiford's going after it, John.
Let's watch John Standiford right there. Al Harris all over him. But look at that catch. Sticks his hands out. That's perfect fundamental football. Reach out, grab it strong, bring it in. Nice play here in the second half by John Standiford.
Lions now 3 for 3 on fourth down conversions this afternoon. This keeps their season alive. Another check down to Cason out of the backfield. Picks up about 6. Now approaching 4.5 to play in the season.
And I think you're all right. Continue to move those chains. You're going to have an opportunity, whether it be the onside kick or a defensive stop. Continue to move the chains. The important thing, you got to get points on the board here.
Yeah, even the field goal will do them some good here. Orlovsky looking, trying to get it out to Smith, who was trying to run before he caught it. And Al Harris giving it to him. Did you teach him that too, John?
No, I didn't teach him that.
No, I didn't think so.
You're clearly seeing Green Bay content to let the underneath stuff happen in front of them. As long as they come up and make good tackles, Al Harris was in nice position to do it right there. They're content to let Detroit throw the ball underneath.
Now 3rd and 4 on this frigid afternoon.
You got to move Calvin Johnson around here. Maybe bring him in motion. There they go right there.
Orlovsky looking downfield and overshoots Casey Fitzsimmons. So yet again, it'll be 4th down for the Lions. Now the question is, do you try the field goal with your kicker Jason Hansen, who is 8 for 8 from 50 yards plus this season?
It doesn't look as good as he's been. It looks like they're going for it.
They have to get down to the 31-yard line. Ball is caught, and another first down. Calvin Johnson paid for it on that one, and he is still down on the ground as Nick Collins, the Pro Bowler, rung him up.
Tough cut, clutch catch. Look at Calvin Johnson here. They get him, they put him in move. He puts a little stutter on. He gets it right in the rib, right in the hip, but he hangs on to the football. I'm telling you, this kid is so impressive. He's got the physical ability, but he's also got the toughness. He's down, but big time play by Calvin Johnson.
Well, Johnson, a Pro Bowl alternate, the second alternate, walking off the field under his own power. Now goes over the century mark for the 5th time this year. Twice against the Packers. He had a 129 his first time around, including a couple of scores. Here, 2 touchdowns as well today. Ties a career high with 9 catches. So now under 4 to go for the Lions. Setting up a screen, it is Smith. And he is going to lose yardage, but wisely gets out of bounds.
A nice job by Tremont Williams in the open field with Kevin Smith not taking the bait on the screen. Uh-oh.
Well, there is a flag on the play over in the Packers sideline. Let's see what they're going to call here.
That hurts.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct by the offense, number 34, pushed the ball on a player's face. 15-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
Well, let's see what happened with Smith. And he throws the ball in the face of one of the Green Bay Packers. And for a kid that was so mature when we met with him yesterday and really is building himself up as a team leader, that is a no-no.
No, you can't do it. I'm sure the guys were talking to him on the sideline. That happens. You got to take it, walk right back. The game's much more important than any personal battles right now. Kevin Smith's a fiery guy. He's a great competitor. You just can't do that. He'll learn that. But a big mistake at this point.
Well, Calvin Johnson, who was injured on the play earlier, now back in the game at the top of the screen. But it is 2nd and 29 after the 15-yard penalty on Smith. Orlovsky looking downfield, trying to find Colbert, and it was a little bit behind him. Good coverage there by Tremont Williams. Charlie Pepra there as well.
Remember, and what that penalty does, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, you don't need 7 here. You got to get 3. You got to have something to show for this drive because you're running out of time here. That penalty, unfortunately, takes them way out of field goal range. And let's see if they can make it up here.
Well, now you got to get at least half of it back on this play right here. I mean, it's 3rd and 29. And you got to get it down to the 40 or the 30. Got to get it somewhere close. Cut it in half. Orlovsky works it short to Felton, who gets nailed again by Al Harris.
And you can't work it short right there. You got to get points on the board. You aren't going to kick a field goal from here. Going to be a tough 4th down conversion. That's a mistake by Orlovsky. You got to take a shot. I think he had Calvin Johnson on the corner route right behind Al Harris there.
And the bad news is Felton actually catches the ball, stays inbound. The clock continues to run. So everything about that play just didn't work. So 4th and 28. Green Bay knows all about giving up 4th and 26 in the playoffs, but not 4th and 28. We'll see what happens here. Orlovsky looking deep downfield for Johnson. Overshoots him, and Collins picks it off. Collins, who leads the NFL in return yardage, is getting it going. There is a flag down. He's finally dragged down at the Detroit 39.
Dan Orlovsky had no choice there. He had to throw it up, but if you're going to throw it up, give your guy a chance to make the play. Nick Collins has had an outstanding year. He keeps it up, his 7th. He is keeping pace with Charles Woodson, his 7th pick going to Hawaii. Well-deserved trip over there for Nick Collins.
It will be the final
After
game.
the interception, the illegal block in the back by Green Bay number 51. A 10-yard penalty is enforced from the spot of the foul. Green Bay keeps the ball. 1st down.
That is Brady Papinga.
I think Nick Collins could have fair caught that one. I mean, it was up there to get, but you still got to bring him in. He's done a nice job of that all year long.
If so, if he had fair caught it, maybe we could have seen another free kick from Mason Crosby. Let's try the 97-yarder or so. But that drive was really, really stalled by the penalty to Kevin Smith, a guy who has played his heart out, has become a leader.
Can't make that kind of mistake. It was devastating to him on that drive.
Grant, for a few, you could hear the 0-16 chants by the Lambeau faithful. And, well, there's only one other team that has gone winless in the modern era without a tie. That would be the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, John McKay's squad was an expansion team. He was asked what did he think about the execution of his club. He said, I'm all in favor of it. Steve Spurrier, of course, the South Carolina head coach, was their quarterback. This team averaged less than 9 points per game, was shut out 5 times. But let's keep in mind, this was an expansion team. And they went 0-14. Now it's a 16-game regular season. I suppose if you're a guy like Jeff Backus, who has been here for 8 years, you've seen the down times. You know you're just 2 minutes and 40 seconds away from making history.
And as we talked in the open, not the kind of history you want to make. This Detroit Lions roster needs a major overhaul. It looks like they've given a vote of confidence to Martin Mayhew, a former teammate of mine in Tampa, to be in charge of that. You got to start making good decisions. Get the talent up to par on this organization.
Wynn is going to stay in bounds and force the Lions to burn another timeout. Well, listen, they have given effort every week. I think last week when they lost 42-7 to the Saints, some of the guys started looking around and said, well, we didn't play our best game. We probably didn't give it our best effort. But we met with a handful of these guys. No finger pointing. And that leadership goes directly to their coach, Rod Marinelli, who's, as you said, has kind of embraced the adversity over the year.
Yeah, he has, and he's as fine as coach as I've been around. He respects the game. He's got so much love for this game, and he's so good for this game. Now, whether you make it through an 0-16 season or not, that remains to be seen. but I think the thing is, you could have, Bill Walsh, Vince Lombardi. I think anyone took this Detroit Lions roster with all the bad decisions they've made over the years. You aren't going to win with this roster. They're showing great fight. They simply are outmanned.
3rd and 6. Rodgers connects with Deshaun Wynn. He's got a first down and he fumbles it. He's fumbled the ball. The Lions say they've got it. So maybe there is a little life left in Detroit.
It's one of those things when you're in these piles, it often changes hands about 3 or 4 times. You can't see it. It's whoever's the best wrestler of the ball underneath there, and some nasty stuff goes on over there.
And it is a Green Bay football.
That's Darren College, I think, comes up with it. I think for Detroit, that was their last chance. They're down to 1 timeout. They just got the conversion. The ball comes out. They got life again. But unfortunately for them, Green Bay, Darren College does a nice job getting in there, getting that ball.
So they will wind the clock, Detroit, with a 2-minute warning and 1 more timeout. If they had hopped on that football, at least they would have had a shot.
Yeah.
The chance of 0-16 raining down on the Lions sidelines. History is about to become reality. Back at Lambeau Field, the Packers with a couple of touchdowns here in the 4th quarter, trying to salt this one away, and the Lions 0-16. His win, cuts it back, has another first down. And there is a flag on the play.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness offense, number 71. 15-yard penalty.
Central Florida guys are going to have to learn about that extracurricular activity.
Yeah, that's Josh Sitton, the guy who used to block for the Lions running back, Kevin Smith. All right, so what's happened since the Lions' last win against Kansas City? Well, it's been 371 days and counting all the way till next September. We've elected a new president in this country. Michael Phelps has been kicking a little tail. And, well, Brett Favre retired, then unretired, then started playing again. Who knows what he's going to do next? So here we go. No ties for the 76 Buccaneers nor the 08 Detroit Lions. Wynn is going to run it again for a few more yards. Both he and Grant over 100 yards this afternoon. Well, now it's all about what do the Lions do with those draft picks. Big questions. They have 2 first-rounders. Of course, the first one overall. They'll also have the Dallas Cowboys selection in the 09 draft. And speaking of the Cowboys, because of what happened earlier today with Tampa losing at home against Oakland and with Chicago losing at Houston, that Dallas-Philly game that's coming up next is essentially a playoff game. The winner advances. The loser goes home. As you get a look at some of the other scores, like Atlanta winning against the Rams and Carolina clinching the 2 seed with a last-second win in New Orleans. So we have our first 0-16 team, John Lynch. You ever think you would see it?
I never thought I would. Games are hard to win in this league, but it's a league set up for parity. The Lions, how they got themselves into this mess, they had the number 1, top 10 picks over and over and over. They miss completely. Not only they miss, you got guys like Ernie Sims. People may not be happy with how far he's come, but he's still playing at a high level. You can't have guys like Mike Williams, Charles Rogers that are no longer in the league. You can't have Joey Harrington, who's the number 3 quarterback down in New Orleans. You can't miss that bad.
That is the final snap of the season here at Lambeau Field. And the O in Motown officially stands for 0-16, the first of its kind in NFL history. For John Lynch, I'm Chris Rose. Packers a winner, Philly and Dallas next.